Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Danganronpa. I kind of have slept since the last recording, so I kind of forgotten where we are. Um, okay, yeah, now I remember. So we are in the investigation phase of chapter 3. A lot of the timeline has been confused by us running around and moving a lot of different places, which honestly, it would be much more natural and easier to believe if we had simply walked around um, and spent several days setting up the events of this murder instead of having this double murder take place over the course of what it seems like less than 3 hours. Um, on top of which, it feels like they barely had maybe 2 or 3 days to set up and plan the murder anyway. So effectively, either these ultimate students are actually also very, very good at planning very contrived murder mysteries, or they are they have been planning to murder somebody. Every single killer has been planning to murder somebody since day one of being here, and even then they wouldn't have had that much time. Um, but yeah, we found Hero, and he's in the Robo Justice outfit. He's the only one without an alibi. Everything here looks like Hero did it, which seems to be so blatantly obvious that obviously for any kind of game or story you would expect there to be a twist. Uh, and Kyoko's been missing, but we don't think she had a bit of an alibi early on when Celeste was attacked at the beginning, so we don't think that she was involved in at least that, but there could be an accomplice. First of all, Hero, you need to explain why you're dressed like that. Well, I have no idea. 1 second I was asleep, don't even know how that happened. Then I woke up, then there it was, then I was here. I don't care, do something about that costume. It pains me just to look at you. Well, I don't know what's up with this thing, but I can't actually get it off. A little help? Why would you make something that you can't take off by yourself? I didn't make the stupid freaking thing. There's a clasp on the back keeping you from getting it off. It looks pretty sturdy. I don't think you can get it off on your own. Interesting. So, I mean, we immediately know that this is a frame job by that alone. Unless there is some accomplice who put it on him, which maybe. We don't really have a choice. Let's help him. It took everyone's help, but we slowly were able to get Hero out of the suit. It took a few minutes, but eventually we got all the pieces off. Ooh, free at last. It isn't it kind of weird how perfectly the suit fits Hero?
So then,
More to the point, nobody but Hero would be able to wear that costume. Wait, what? Hold on a sec.
honestly,
Don't bother trying to act innocent since the blueprints were in your room as well.
is that okay?
In other words, I didn't tell Celeste that the blueprints are in the room, so how she found out, I don't know. In other words, it's obvious to everyone that you made this costume. That's true, I saw the blueprints myself, says Byakuya. Yeah, me too, says Makoto.
Could it be?
Then it's obvious. The one who put this costume on and went around attacking everyone
Terrible.
was Hero. Shall we tie him up and gag him?
Just the worst.
Good idea. We wouldn't want him to kill anyone else. Tie me up? Hold on, guys. I think that's going a little too far.
That's right.
He may be a suspect, but he deserves fair treatment. Yeah, I mean, attacking blueprints? I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I'm more interested in how somebody could have made him pass out, because if there was any kind of like poisons or drugs that could knock people out, that would be a pretty significant advantage. The sewing kits that the girls got, for instance, were supposedly just needles to stab towards vital organs. They didn't have any poisons on them.
What the heck?
You can't talk your way out of this. It's been decided you killed them. What? Killed who? I have no idea what you're talking about. There must be a fake hero running around.
What are you saying?
You're the only one who can wear this costume. So who else could possibly be the costumed attacker? How do you know I'm the only one? Maybe you should try it on yourself before you convict me.
Okay.
Fine. If you're gonna be a jerk about it, I will. Without missing a beat, Hina started putting on the Robo Justice costume. And here we get a custom
See,
animation.
look. See how loose it is?
And we're back to voice acting. So, like, custom animation here. Once again, Celeste's hair is bluer than it normally is, which, yeah, it is fairly obvious that they did a very poor job of maintaining color, or color palette when they gave this to a colorist. Seems like Aoi has a band-aid on her leg in this scene too, and I don't think like I've seen a bandage on her leg. It feels kind of weird that you would have a bandage on your leg as a swimmer athlete in particular. The water is not particularly known for being sharp, but I suppose it could happen. But yeah, you can see her hands and legs totally don't fit, but oddly they don't fit in a weird way because it makes Aoi look like her legs and arms are longer than Yashihiro's, which I would argue is probably not the case, but let's just check that out. So, Yashihiro, height 6 feet even, which for a high school student is quite tall, and weight 157. And then Aoi's height is 5'3", a good, well, wouldn't that be 9 inches shorter, and a good 43 pounds lighter. We'll ignore chest size for the moment. So, if anything, this outfit should fit in a oversized way, not in an undersized way. The only thing you could maybe make an argument is that she didn't put on the upper arm parts and the upper leg parts. But yeah, what they're saying here actually logically doesn't make sense.
I mean, come on. I'm blind as a bat in here. Can't see my feet at all. I'm surprised you got anywhere in this thing.
I'm telling you, it wasn't me.
She's also not wearing the helmet, so you don't even know if you can see out of the helmet.
And not to mention, you totally can't bend at the waist. Seems like a pretty obvious oversight.
Yep, it seems like this outfit is not really designed for movement. If anything, maybe it's designed to restrict movement.
That's not a very nice thing to say.
Why does Yashihiro even care?
I mean, it's not like I made it. I just got caught up in the moment.
Well, either way, now we know for sure, right?
It's not even a good comparison, because if we were going to really have someone put it on, there should have been more of a conversation here to take Makoto, who's the same height and only 5 pounds heavier than Aoi. We could have had him wear it. Or Byakuya is 1 inch taller than Hiro, so he is way closer to the height. So Byakuya could be a killer. Ignoring the dead people, is there even anyone that is specifically tall enough in the female group? Like Sakura is even heavier and taller. So yeah, picking Aoi's body as a comparison to his is a pretty bad choice.
I mean, it seems pretty clear that nobody but Hiro could have fit into this dumb costume.
It's really ridiculous to say that, but clearly they painted themselves into their corner and they needed to say that. Is there a way you could make a costume like this so it would only fit him? Well, you could have made him particularly shorter, make him like 4 feet tall, and then you could have added that as a personality trait, as him being like obsessed about being short. I guess maybe that would work. Or you could have made him particularly taller, which, since that's the way they've drawn the character anyways, all they had to say is that he's massive, like 6'6", something really, really tall. In a huff, Hina took the suit back off again. Well, now you're all out of excuses? No, see, it's because you're a girl. If it was another guy, then... Makoto, go ahead. Okay. Against my will, I picked up the pieces off the floor and tried putting them on. It's no good. The arms are too long. There's no way I can wear this. Once again, that makes more sense that they're too long, not too short. The way they animated it, they made them seem like they were too short.
Just a second.
See, I told you it was impossible. You're absolutely right. It seems this costume was made to fit Hiro's body exactly.
But
Then there's another costume. They must have one that looks the same, but fits them.
Honestly.
If you insist on this line of defense, then show us some evidence.
what the heck?
Evidence? You claim there's another suit, yes? Then you must find it and show it to us. What the heck?
The worst.
Who cares? Here's the only one without an alibi during the whole thing anyway.
That's terrible.
Which is how we know it was him.
What?
I mean, is it really true? I have no idea what's been happening. Could someone, like, tell me? So we now have the Robo Justice costume in the middle of this story. Which, if the game had played this way from the beginning, I probably would have felt more comfortable with the idea of getting truth bullets throughout the entirety of the main story before the trials. Like, that probably would be a smarter way for things to happen. And then even the free time stuff might be a good opportunity to get other truth bullets, and maybe they'd be red herring truth bullets or just extra truth bullets. But that would be also probably a little unfair if you could get extra truth bullets. Alright, moving on. So now I guess we're gonna just talk to everybody again and we'll get back to Hiro.
Oh.
I certainly did not expect Hiro and Kyoko to turn up at the same time, but where has Kyoko been hiding all this time? I have no idea. Perhaps she is really working for the mastermind. What else would explain her questionable behavior? But you're quite protective of her, yes? That's because she helped me out so much until now. If I were the mastermind, that is exactly what I would do to earn your trust. ... Well, also, if you weren't the mastermind, that's exactly what you'd do to earn people's trust. It's looking more and more like it really was a setup. So Byakuya thinks it's a setup. ... She looks like she's lost in thought. I don't think she's in the mood to talk about it. Leave her alone. I don't know what I'm supposed to specifically be doing.
What the heck?
There's no talking your way out of this. You did it and everyone knows.
What the heck?
If you don't tell me what's going on, how am I supposed to understand? I think I figured out that someone's been killed, right? Hey Makoto, who was it? Well, 2 people were killed, Taka and Hifumi. What? 2 people?
Just the worst.
Why are you freaking out? You did it. I did not.
Huh?
Wait, hold on. If those 2 are the ones that were killed,
How about that?
that's it. I know who did it.
So then.
You may as well tell us then. Taka and Hifumi were fighting over alter ego, right?
I'm at least 30%
Which means alter
right.
ego and or Chiro must have done it.
Correct.
I see. That's unfortunate.
Please.
Huh? Unfortunate?
What the heck?
Stop trying to trick us. Just admit you did it, okay?
Um.
I'm telling you, you've got it all wrong.
So then.
Now, Yashihiro here is kind of an idiot, so him trying to defend himself is gonna be pretty pathetic, obviously. Ah, I know that note. Note? Last night someone slipped a weird note under my door. And here's what it said. I found a hole maybe we can use to escape. Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m. But last thing I remember was going to the rec room, and then for some reason I fell asleep. The real killer probably drugged me or something.
Just the worst.
Not a chance.
So...
No, hold on. He could be onto something. The nurse's office did have chemicals that could do that, so there were drugs in the nurse's office. What? Really? I told you, someone's trying to set me up. So, if part of your plan involved drugging somebody, then you had to have either assumed that there were drugs in the nurse's office from the beginning of the story, or you had to have formulated this plan after the nurse's office opened up. A secret passage, a chance to escape. Someone wrote all that to trick me. Even if that's true, you must be one dumb fish to bite every piece of bait that floats in front of you. Well, after being trapped here so long, even if you know it's a lie, you still gotta check, right? Yeah, they preyed on my desire to get out of here. They deceived me. I still don't buy it.
Don't be mean.
Well, you should buy it.
Second.
Okay, then show us the note. With pleasure. I have it in my pocket.
No way.
Looks like I lost it. Yeah, sure. Please. You gotta believe me. Well, I wouldn't hurt a fly. See, and every time they go back to Yashahiro, he's just begging for his life over and over again and crying. As I said before, if you want us to believe it, you must produce evidence. Can you show us the note? I have no particular issue with what you claim, but if you want us to believe you, give us a reason. What the heck, for serious? So we now have Yashahiro's account. Now then, we should resume the investigation. There's no time to waste before the class trial begins. Why do we need to keep investigating? We already know who did it. Why? Why did you kill them? Tell us, Hiro. It's not... No, it's like I said.
Just the worst.
Was it to get the money Monokuma offered us? Yeah, that must be it. You must be totally broke, and that's why. Wait, that's a false accusation. Someone help me. Just be thankful we haven't bound and gagged you. If you have time to yell and carry on, you have time to search for your evidence, right? Oh, you're right. I need to look for that second suit in that note. Feet, don't fail me now. I guess I better get back to guard duty. I want to go ask Toko or Genocide Jack to switch with me. I was gonna ask Toko or Genocide Jack to switch with me, but if she or Sakura got into a fight, we'd have a catastrophe on our hands. Well, bye. One by one, everyone peeled away. Makoto, do you have a second? Huh? I want you to help me with the investigation.
It would seem...
Looks like I got a late start on this one, so I need to make up some ground. Sure, I don't mind helping, but can you promise me something? Later, when you have time, will you tell me why you disappeared? No. To reject me so simply. Anyway, I need your help. You don't mind, do you? Okay.
Shall we go?
Thanks. Now, shall we? So now we're gonna hang out with Kyoko for a while, which this would be a perfect point for us to hang out with Kyoko and give her a present and grow our relationship. So Makoto, first I'd like to examine the corpses. Examine the corpses? I can't believe I'm hearing that from a girl the same age as me.
Correct.
Dead bodies don't lie, you know. They tell the truth far more easily than the living. Kyoko is also the only character that seems to really be willing to touch any of the dead bodies, so her not being around until this point may have had us miss clues.
Hey.
Wouldn't you agree? How am I supposed to answer? Anyway, we have to hurry before the class trial begins again. Yeah, you're right. Okay, then show me where the bodies are. They're in the repository. Then I guess we should head that way for now. And so, we are once again being told to walk to a place when I don't think it's really worth our effort to walk to that place, and it's easier to fast travel than run. And you don't have any long clicks, so you have to get particularly close to something to click on it. And in this case, you have to go through an extra door before you even can get into the repository. Hifumi and Taka. For a moment, Kyoko seemed to go rigid, but only for a moment.
So then...
Well then, let's get started. See, and you're in this weird position where, honestly, I have a hard time believing that Kyoko or any of the other students would really care that much about Hifumi or Taka. Anyways, they were both kind of pains in the butt. And that's kind of the truth with all these characters, is they just haven't hung around each other enough to have any kind of deep emotional connections. So yeah, it just seems weird in general. Even if I ever went to like a high school with only 15 students, if one of them died in the first week, I'd think it's generally speaking sad, but I wouldn't really be affected by it because I'd not really have known them. She crouched down next to Taka and without hesitation began poking and prodding the bodies. The Monokuma file was right. They were killed using similar weapons. Now, does Monokuma give a copy of the Monokuma file to everybody, or does he literally just hand one copy to Makoto, and only Makoto? Because if he doesn't give one to everybody, that's weird. Because then he's isolating Makoto for some reason, and giving special treatment to Makoto. Also, if he gives one to everybody, then he would have known where Kyoko is and handed her one. Unless it reveals later that she usually gets a Monokuma file, but this time she didn't. Because the whole idea is that she disappeared somewhere, and we would assume she disappeared somewhere where Monokuma couldn't monitor her. But maybe not. Her movements were so smooth, she was so calm. Seeing how comfortable she was actually made me feel a little more comfortable. Alright, so... unless we're supposed to investigate the bodies ourselves. They brought us back to the repository. Yeah, I think this is just stuff that we had already seen. Unless they brought us back to the repository so we could talk to Sakura and get a recap of the events. Obviously that's part of the reason. Otherwise I guess we're just gonna talk to Kyoko. Makoto, I found something. You did? Hey. You remember the wristwatch Taka always wore on his left hand? Absolutely no, I don't. You did? Are you so oblivious to the people around you? Do you dislike other people that much? No, it's not that. Anyway, so you said he had a watch?
So then.
Take a look. It's broken. You can see the hands aren't moving, right? Well, alright. Apparently he did wear a wristwatch. I never saw it. It's most likely broken when he had his encounter with his assailant. If you notice, it's just past 6 o'clock. Which, I imagine if somebody broke a wristwatch and then set the time at a different time, that would be fairly easy. Or set the time at a different time, then break the wristwatch would be even smarter. And that would be an easy way to establish a false time of death. So that would mean the watch was broken sometime just after 6. Right. But last night Taka's watch definitely wasn't broken. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see a wristwatch on him because his sleeves are so far down. Hey, how long are you gonna keep us waiting? Taka's irritated voice pierced the air as he stared pointingly at his wristwatch. Oh, the story did mention a wristwatch, didn't it? It's almost 10 o'clock, you know. Bedtime for all the little boys and girls.
In other words.
So if it worked at 10 last night, it couldn't have been broken at 6 p.m., meaning it must have happened at 6 this morning. So we now have a broken wristwatch. As the truth, but that's not all. Look at Taka's left hand. He appears to be gripping something. You're right, there's something white in there.
Makoto,
Can you try and pry it out? Me?
because
Rigor mortis is already set in. Boys are better suited for this kind of manual labor, right? Okay. As much as I didn't want to, I grasped Taka's cold hand. The ice cold hand was near enough to cause my heart to stop beating. After some effort, I finally was able to free the object from his tightened, clenched fist. A piece of paper. What was that all he had in his hand? Yeah, that's it. Just a scrap of paper. Doesn't seem like much of a clue, does it?
is that right?
I wonder about that. Kyoko then turned to Hifumi's body.
So then,
Let's check Hifumi's body now. Perhaps he left us a few clues of his own. After the whole Chihiro revelation of Chihiro being a boy, you have to expect that while Kyoko is searching the body, she's making sure all the boys are still boys too. I wouldn't put it past this game to have a cross-dresser in the other direction. Although the Japanese are probably a lot less accepting of a female that dresses as a man than they are of a man that dresses as a female, as odd as that might sound. Kiyotaka's scrap of paper has been added to truth bullets. So do I talk to her again? Or am I supposed to investigate the body? Let's see. And even holding down the B button here, that's still pretty slow. So did you find anything? I did more than I expected, to be honest. Look at this. A wad of paper.
that's right.
Hifumi had it hidden on him. Hidden.
Indeed.
He stuffed it in his pants. So I can only assume he's hidden it on purpose, you see. In his pants. Wait, you?
Why is that?
It's just his pants. Not like his socks or something. I don't know what that means.
Hey,
Anyway, let's take a look at the paper. Go ahead, Makoto, open it up. When I think of how it was stuffed down his pants, it's like, it better be important for me or I'll never forgive you for this. A note. I found a hole maybe we can use to escape. And again, the writing here is not particularly well written. Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else. Let's meet in the equipment room at 6 a.m.
so
That sounds very familiar. That's it. It's the same thing Hiro said. Then he was telling us the truth. Although, it's not exactly the same, is it? Like, last night someone slipped a weird note under my door. And here's what it said. I found a hole that maybe we can use to escape. Monokuma can't find it, so don't tell anyone else. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m. Not the... Was the other one the trash room at 6 a.m.? So, this is like the first time I think the yellow highlighting of text has actually been helpful, where almost every other point in the game, the highlighting of yellow text only slightly emphasizes that what is being said is important, but it really doesn't highlight differences. The time is different. Hiro told us the note said to meet at 1 a.m. But the note here says to meet at 6 a.m. It also says the equipment room, not the rec room.
is that right?
Hold on, just because Hifumi had the note, doesn't that mean it was meant for him, huh?
So
Part of it had been torn off, right? I think there's likely some meaning there. There's some meaning to part of it being ripped off. Could you explain a little more? Think carefully. Why would he be clutching a scrap of paper so tightly? I have no idea.
so then,
What if it wasn't just a scrap of paper when he was holding it? What if it was something more important? Oh, and how would something important like that become a scrap of paper? That's what you need to answer. Well, obviously this note was being held by Taka, And Hifumi took it and stuffed it down his pants at some point.
Hey.
While you're at it, I should tell you one other thing. The two victims this time definitely had their e-books on them. So the handbooks have nothing to do with how these murders were carried out. Well, I guess in this case they specifically don't want you to go down that route. Where honestly I don't know how the e-book handbooks would even affect the outcome in this case, because nobody was going into the pool or the locker room. Not that there was any reason to think they were connected to the killings in the first place. So you're saying I don't have to think about the handbook this time, right?
Is that right?
If you don't have to think about them at all, I wouldn't have gone out of my way to mention it. All I said is that they weren't used to help carry out the murders. There may come a point, however, where a handbook may play a role. A handbook may play a role. I don't think I understand. And that is true for me as the player, too. But if Kyoko thinks it's important, I better keep it in mind. The handbook has been added to the truth bullet section. And so we are now done with the investigation and on to the class trial. Mostly because Monokuma is just bored.
It's time for the class trial to begin!
Yeah, I think the ticking clock cliche, where he says the class trials always start an hour after a body has been discovered, would have probably worked better, or 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever number you pick. That way, every time you go somewhere and activate a trigger, the time can count down, and we can kind of know that we won't be able to investigate forever.
Like the bright burst of fireworks, like the flash of a soul.
I don't have to read this since he's voiced.
And so, with no further ado, everyone please meet at the usual spot. Make your way to the red door on the first floor of the school. See you soon.
I feel like this class trial could go very long. It's unfortunate, but I suppose this is where our investigation comes to an end. You'll have to figure out the rest for yourself and come to the proper conclusion. Yeah, you're right.
Shall we go?
Well, we better get going. Okay. And so then they start you here again. They get into this room so that Monokuma could maybe say something different. We do have quite a decreased number now. There are 8 people, including Makoto, in this elevator. Sakura, Aoi, Byakuya, Celeste, and Kyoko, and Hiro, and Genocide Jill. And when they come back up, they'll, assuming we don't all get killed and lose the game, there will undoubtedly be at least one fewer people on the way back up. Everyone had heard Monokuma's proclamation, and they were gathered by the red door. As soon as we were all there.
Monokuma appears!
Hello, hello, hello. So now there's 2 Monokumas. Now we assumed that there was multiple Monokumas because we'd already kind of seen one blow up. But it is kind of interesting that there would be 2 that could be potentially controlled at the same time, because I assume they are a robot being controlled and not a independent thinking AI, but they might very well be an independent thinking AI that can just copy itself. He's multiplied. Nope, not multiplication. It just looks this way because it's an illusion. I'm moving so fast it only looks like I'm multiplied. This is like a anime trope. Can you guys tell which one is the real Monokuma? Can we just get on the elevator already? You're not playing along? We're not here to play with you. Okay, fine. Then if everyone's here and ready to go, please board the pain train or elevator. I'll see you guys down there. Doesn't even say anything. Okay, then shall we?
Please.
Hold on. I'm not mentally prepared yet.
What the heck?
You'll never be mentally prepared. You can't run away anymore, hero. You're gonna pay for your sins.
What the heck?
I told you already, I didn't do it for serious.
Hmm.
That reminds me, did you find the other costume or the note? Well, no, but how unfortunate. Then it would seem we have our culprit. Ugh.
Hey,
This isn't the place to talk about it. Save your accusations for when we get to the courtroom.
That's right.
She's right. Let's get down there first. Then the story can really begin. Yeah, good idea. That's right. I have to do it. I can't let whoever killed Hifumi and Taka get away with it. For everyone who's still alive, and for the two who lost their lives. And we're getting flashbacks again of multiple times we found bodies. The one who killed Hifumi and Taka. The one who killed two of our friends. The killer is he someone right here. And see, but then they throw you back to this point where you can talk to everyone. I don't like Monokuma's carefree attitude.
Just the worst.
Let's see, let's hurry up and so we can make Hiro pay for his crimes. Oh, he is definitely already made a decision. Were you listening? Wait till the courtroom begins. It would appear the culprit has been confirmed. The trial will be over in no time.
hey,
The story begins when we get down there. It's like, oh, it wasn't me, you gotta believe me. Dean, if you were getting any points or anything for, come on Big Mac, let's do it. Like, for doing this, it might make more sense. Or if there was perhaps a Monokuma nice token somewhere in this room, since this is the only time you get in this room, that might make some sense that they would have you look around. But there wasn't, so that seemed pointless. I took one last deep breath and exhaled slowly. Then I began to walk toward the elevator. Once everyone is aboard, we get that same animation with fewer people. The doors closed on their own, and the steel box began to move. So, I suppose there is a thought, if the game didn't automatically jump you to a menu to prepare for the trial, there could have been an argument that that would have been the room for you to prepare for the trial and save. If there had been something that says you can't save beyond this point, that would make sense too. If looking at like Kyoko in the back, her hair is super long, and Sakura's hair is super long too, and from this angle, pretty much everybody's hair, every girl and Hiro's hair is super long, which is kind of crazy. A certain level of your hair is going beyond your butt crack when you sit down. You've got hair that requires too much management because you end up sitting on it all the time. The clunking of the elevator kept us company as we fell further and further down. There was no going back. Until we said all this, we couldn't go anywhere. I'm not sure how long it was before the elevator finally came to a stop. I feel like they're trying to indicate for certain that this is far underground, and I suppose the idea is also you couldn't run away if you're convicted. Really, the elevator door slid open and opening up onto a cruel fate. And he redecorated again, and this is very noticeably different. This feels like they probably paid a 3D model or an animator too much to redecorate the rooms, and maybe even in the decoration of the rooms there's a hint as to who did it, since Hiro is a psychic, does psychic readings. The moon might line up with that pretty well. When I see all of you gathered together like this, I realize how just few of you there are left. The school life was slowly reaching its climax, only because of you. Why are you making us do such cruel things to each other? What, do you really hate me so much? But I'm so cute.
Come
Stop gooping around and begin the trial. Don't rush me. Of course I'm gonna start it. I would never be like, stay tuned for this action-packed class trial after this commercial break. I'd never hold on to you like that. Okay. Let's begin. Get to your assigned seats. I half expect them to actually go to a commercial break. And so, the curtain opened once again. A deadly judgment, a deadly deception, a deadly betrayal, a deadly riddle, a deadly defense, a deadly faith, a deadly class trial. So, save again. We're gonna have plenty of save spaces. Alright. The good news is, I hung out with enough people that I unlocked several new skills. The bad news is I don't think we have enough to use all of them. So, increase the time limit for each phase. That might be helpful. Let's see, stays your aim effective for non-stat debate and Hangman's Gambit. That might be useful. Let's see, algorithm. We already have those. Let's see, bullet time battles. Allows you to reload 2 bullets at once, effective during the bullet time battle. It costs 4, so if I do that, then I can only do that. But that seems like that in particular is the better ability than anything else. So either we do this, which is 3, and this, which is 2, which I guess that works. And once again, I'm gonna have to use the D-pad because this. So we'll do that, and we'll do that. And without more SPs, next time we get an ability, we would have to start replacing some things. Also, if we have 13 abilities, and there are 14 students or 15 students like that we might be able to get abilities from, somebody doesn't give us an ability, obviously. You almost assume that it is like Kyoko that doesn't give you an ability. We couldn't, well, we aren't likely at least to get double abilities from people, but maybe we will actually get double abilities. Yeah, but if we were going to use all the abilities at once, we also need major SP ups. Let's start the trial though. Let's not waste a bunch of time. And as we go around the circle, we're going to see a lot of people dead.
Will determine the result. If you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment.
This is the same dialogue each time. Feels like they should ask if you want to skip this.
I'll punish everyone besides the blackened,
like,
and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate.
And see, even the game is admitting that the main story part of this, where you're in the free time and the investigation times, and all the other triggered events, takes so long that by the time you actually get to the actual gameplay mechanic, which feels kind of tagged on for a visual novel, but is clearly the important part of the game also. But by the time you get to one of these, you've pretty much forgotten everything.
Now then, to begin with,
We already know who did it.
Alright. If this is all going to be voiced, we can
It was
just...
Hiro. He does not have an alibi for when the murders took place.
I can just
and we
not
found
talk.
him in that suit. Don't try and deny it. You killed them.
I didn't. Someone knocked me out. I was asleep the whole time. I don't know anything about it.
Shut your murdering mouth, murderer!
Just like Jill calling someone else a murderer. Ridiculous.
You call it a murderer.
I am sorry to say, Hiro, but we do have evidence. Blueprint for the suit.
See, and the suit shows like upper arm and upper leg sections. that we just kind of didn't see.
Parts we assume were used to build it, and all of it was found in your room. You have to admit, the evidence is quite compelling.
Celeste has never really given us an account of when she found this information, or where she got this information. Maybe someone else told her.
Crime after crime.
How many times do I have to tell you? I don't know. I don't know.
Is Hiro really the killer, or before anything else, we have to make that clear. Alright, make your argument. So, Yashihiro's message.
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
So,
I don't know anything about that stuff. It's not true. It's a conspiracy.
I'm gonna have to warm up again.
Hiro, why? Why did you kill them?
No, just hold on a second.
Okay. So we're supposed to, I mean, looking at the blueprints, the handwritten is awfully messy. If I remember right, here's handwriting is.
Everything
Okay,
we
so
found in your room.
that's the
The
conflict.
blueprints, the suit parts,
No, what's wrong?
Man, they really, you basically have to fail the first time or go around in a circle the first time, which frankly they might as well have not let you shoot the first time in anyways. Are we sure? Well, yeah, they're still voice acting, so I don't have to say anything.
What do you mean?
Well, take a look at this. It's the note that Hiro wrote, asking everyone to meet up after Alter Ego disappeared. The handwriting's obviously different, wouldn't you say? When you compare it to the blueprints.
There's no way you could think the same person made both of them.
I don't see why. You could easily disguise your handwriting by just drawing, holding the pen wrong, using your opposite hand, writing with your feet. I mean, you can easily mess up your handwriting.
Unless that person made it a point to disguise their handwriting.
No, the differences are bigger than that, I think.
Come on. I'm not smart enough to think of trying to change my handwriting anyway.
So Makoto, are you saying you don't think Hiro's the culprit?
And he's not the only one. I think Hiro's innocent as well.
Well, if Byakuya thinks he's innocent, I'm starting to think he might be guilty.
Then who was in that Robo-Justice suit? Is it like Hiro said? Was there really someone running around in a second suit?
The suspicious individual hidden within the suit. Go ahead, Makoto. Tell them who it was.
Of course he passes it off to me.
Who was in the Robo-Justice suit?
It has to be Hiro. Unless we're gonna just go with the Illuminati. Which I feel like there might be an achievement for going with the Illuminati. And I'm not gonna blame Hina.
Other than Hiro, I can't think of anyone else it could have been.
It would be funny if there really was a if there was an achievement for blaming the Illuminati in one of these, which that has popped up once or twice before.
Obviously, he was the one in that particular suit. We never found any kind of second suit.
Then there can be no doubt. Hiro is the prime suspect.
That doesn't make any sense. You just said Hiro didn't do it.
Yeah, and I'm pressing the A button too fast. What is the auto like? Let's try this. Auto mode is right bump. Let's just try this, and then I'll see if I can talk as they talk.
It makes perfect sense. Hiro was the suspicious individual in the suit, but he's not the culprit.
So what you're saying is...
There's basically something.
The culprit in this case has nothing to do with being in the Robo-Justice suit.
There's very little to say here.
Now that's a bold assumption.
Particularly if it's just keep on if
And what's
it's
the
an
reason
auto
you have
mode.
to make such a statement? You do have a reason, yes.
Of course. But before we get to that, there's something else we need to clarify first.
So if it isn't the
Let's get
Robo
that out of
Justice
the
suit
way.
that did the kills, who was it?
Hey, stop trying to boss us around!
All things have a proper order.
So what is it?
Yeah,
What
when it
needs
just
to be
moves so fast
clarified?
like this, we could have
must
shorter
clarify
episodes.
The method of transportation for Taka's lifeless body.
Okay.
It would seem that his corpse was moved using certain particular items.
Yep.
Makoto, can you tell us what they were?
So for an auto mode, that probably stops here. We know it was a repository dolly.
I got it!
There's still one more thing. Is also the blue tarp.
I got it! They were a dolly and a tarp,
That's
right?
an interesting experiment to make you select two things. What's with that attitude?
So, let's see if I can explain. Taka's body disappeared from the equipment room, and then we rediscovered it in the repository. And when we found it for the second time, it was wrapped in a blue tarp, right? It was the same tarp that, up until then, was stored in the equipment room.
Yeah, we had seen that. Of course, again, I'd seen other
killer
people
must
play
have
this
seen it
game, so I
and
kind of
decided
know
to use it when
what's
they
gonna
moved
happen.
Taka's body. That way, they wouldn't leave any
But
bloodstains while they
frankly,
were
you'd
moving.
be a little shocked by how much is...
Okay, that
Same
is-
thing.
Alright, how do you get out of auto mode? I guess you have to hit right bump.
I'm sure the dolly was in the equipment.
Auto mode, right bumped. B, cancel. You have to hit B to cancel it.
But when the body disappeared
No, B is skip.
later, when Taka's body reappeared in the repository,
You have to really hit the right bump there. So we missed several lines of dialogue there, so that's the danger of going in auto mode. Yeah, it really is insane how the reveal of this is gonna come about, and the twist comes about because you've literally been given basically no evidence whatsoever to make the reveal happen or think ahead of the writers, much like most Sherlock Holmes stories. Oh wait.
so did the dolly.
In other words, you think they used the dolly to move the body, am I right?
Yes.
But are you sure you are not mistaken?
Huh?
Let's see.
Are you absolutely positive the dolly was in the equipment room when we found Taka's body?
Yes, I am. I saw it.
The dolly was made specifically for moving large objects between the repository and the art room. It would be very strange indeed to discover it had made its way to the equipment room. Is it not possible that it was in the repository all along, and you simply didn't realize it?
See, the problem with this argument that Celeste is making is it's literally a argument you could make for every assertion that Makoto or anyone else has made ever. So it's kind of a
Raised an
point.
objection. How do you respond?
There is no shame in being wrong, and nobody expects much from you anyway.
Now she's just talking down to
We
you.
have all accepted the fact that you rarely understand what is going on around you.
Well, she's just straight making fun of you. Wow, I've never had anyone sound so nice while being so mean. But maybe I can change your mind. If I can just explain to them why the dolly must have been moved from the equipment room to the repository. New element has been added to bullet time battles. Would you like to hear more? Absolutely. Let's talk about reloading. Starting with the next bullet time battle, we're gonna add one more ingredient to the recipe. On the bottom of the screen, you can, underneath the tempo marker, you'll see an ammo count. Oh no, this is the rhythm game, isn't it? Up until now, there hasn't really been a limit to how you destroy your opponent's statements, but from now on, just Just locking on and pressing the Y button won't be enough to handle them. Now it will cost you 1 bullet to destroy a single remark. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to pause right here, which is probably a good place to pause because I'm about to get my butt handed to me with this challenge. I'm sure of it. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, yeah, this is gonna suck. For sure. So, it's now going to cost me 1 bullet to destroy a single remark. Once you're out of bullets, you can't destroy any more statements no matter how locked on you are. However, you can reload with the X button. And see, this was the thing I thought that was going to happen, is we were going to constantly add more buttons to make it even more complicated, which now it does seem like it makes a lot more sense to be able to reload 2 bullets instead of 1, because I basically now need to go AYX, AYX, AYX in circles. Just like locking on, you have to press the X button in time with the tempo meter. Man, I'm just gonna lose here. Basically, just remember the X button now has a function as long as with the A and Y buttons. You'll automatically reload at the start of fever time, and your ammo will not decrease. Well, how do I even trigger fever time? With the right bump? But if your action difficulty is set to gentle, you won't have to reload at all. Man, I really wish I had selected gentle. In which case you can ignore everything I just said. Well then, good luck and have fun. But we've been back to the main menu, and we know that we can't change the difficulty settings, so like I would almost have to find a save file, 100% save file on the internet to get back to this point if I can't get past this point. And as this is spinning around, we can see, yeah, there is considerably fewer people, and nothing in this story came back to the idea that there was another student, even though we basically were told there was another student, unless that was supposed to be the split personality of Genocide Joe and Toko. Good luck and have fun. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have fun. And I can't even go back and change my skills. So A Y reload. Y X. Alright, I got it.
You are a fool. Lies will get you nowhere.
What?
Do your worst, you miserable wretch. You have it wrong.
I'm like negative. Let's see. What can we do to start activate fever time?
So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you.
Oh, she's done her thing. But I can't do my thing?
I cannot agree. You are a fool. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst, you miserable wretch. You miserable wretch.
Like, I don't know what we're even supposed to be doing here. Well, I just screwed that up.
This should prove it.
Like, that just totally sucks, and yet still the game pretty much lets you get through that. So maybe you just can't lose on those.
I have it right here.
Hopefully we don't have another sequence like that, but boy, can you really tell how terribly programmed that is. I definitely, in retrospect, would have wanted to play this on gentle.
When I found the dolly in the repository, one of the wheels had a blood stain on it.
Like, I can't even really enjoy a success there. I just feel like a loser after a sequence like that. And you really wouldn't want that kind of experience while you're in the middle of trying to feel like you're smart and you're actually solving this murder, even if really all you're doing is just being a player on rails and the story is playing out regardless of what the actual player character knew or didn't know. If this was a much more ambitious game, there would be branching paths, and you could accuse people and you could get it wrong, and then the wrong person would get executed and the story would just move on anyways.
And as the blood dried on the tires, they moved the body into the repository. So there's my proof that the dolly was used to move Taka's body.
If anything, I would say the Nonary games does a better job. Even though there's much less video game mechanics in the Nonary games, it does a better job of letting you potentially fail and work your way to a bad ending, versus this where you can't get a bad ending unless you just screw up horribly. So Celeste has been defeated. Geez, does Celeste really hate me that much?
Well, anyway,
Well, Celeste
that was
is
just something we had to get out of the way.
being
Let's get back to the main subject.
rather aggressive. But also, it's worth pointing out that if Byakuya and Celeste weren't in this group, then it really would just be Makoto, Kyoko, and Hiro and Makoto that and Hina that would have to try and figure out how to solve the murders, and like most of those characters are not smart enough to do it. I guess Sakura too. So you almost are getting a confirmation here that Byakuya, Kyoko, and Celeste will be amongst the last characters to be eliminated from the group. Otherwise, these class trials really would devolve down to nothing. Or Makoto is going to have to step up his game and be seen as the group as someone who's smart enough to present a case completely without really being questioned or challenged.
Yeah, the subject of how Robo-Justice didn't do
Which
it.
that might be,
If it's not a killer robot, then
it might be a case where the final class trial is just Makoto explaining what happened.
what kind of robot is it?
So Hina thinks it's a different kind of
I'm
robot.
not sure that really matters.
I'd be happy to explain why the occupant of the suit couldn't possibly be the killer.
Well, if Byakuya is happy to explain, it's probably pretty obnoxious
If you look back
explanation.
on how the body was transported, it will become immediately obvious.
If I look at the body was moved, it'll be clear why the person in the suit couldn't have done it. What does that mean? So we're gonna do a hangman's bluff. Robo-Justice costume. It seems so ridiculous that they
As you know,
introduced...
Taka was killed in the equipment
Oh.
room. And from there, the
I have to
body
get
was
this
moved to
right,
the
so I'm not
repository,
gonna
correct?
goof around.
The culprit wrapped the body in the tarp, then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Nope. I screwed up. Come on, Makoto, don't scare me like that. Makes me think something weird is going on.
Shoot.
Yeah, if I make one mistake, it's game over for me.
As we know, Taka was
So I should have
killed
just
in
let
the
this go
equipment
through
room.
the
And from
circle.
there, the body was moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped the body in the tarp,
I have kind of
then
plenty of
loaded it
time.
onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over.
So that's probably where we
Then
need to
push the
shoot.
dolly, no problem.
Because the Robo-Justice
So the
costume
killer
can't bend
just
over.
crouched down and carted the body off to the repository.
If you accept everything we just said, then you must realize that whoever was in the suit couldn't possibly be the culprit.
Sorry, I don't think I realized anything.
Dolly doesn't have any handles, so to push it, you have to be able to bend over. But would anyone wearing the suit be able to actually stoop down like that?
As we know,
So
Taka was killed in
they
the
tell you the
equipment
answer
room,
if you just
and from there,
put enough
the
time
body
into
was
it.
moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped
But
the
I
body
imagine
in
you
the
get a
tarp,
lesser score
then
if you
loaded it onto the dolly and
don't do
wheeled
it in the
off,
first circle.
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
right? Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over.
No, that's wrong.
So, yeah. I'm gonna have to get a couple
You're
of cases
absolutely
right.
that you could push a dolly without a handle if you stoop down low. But if you were wearing that suit, do you think you could actually get into a position like that?
What do you mean?
Think back to what you said when we were all checking out the suit together. Remember?
Then we can just be quiet again. I feel like those feet are big enough where you could probably drag them on the ground and scoot the dolly, but it would be quite a mess. Of course, I don't follow the full logic here that you couldn't kill somebody and then put the suit on and latch it, particularly if you had an accomplice, or just have an accomplice move the body for you. Yeah. There's still a level of confusion there. It's like, I'm telling you, it wasn't me. And not to mention, so now we're back to the non-voice acted things. You totally can't bend at the waist. Seems like a pretty obvious oversight. And see, if they were going to voice a section, one of these sections in particular would be perfect to be voiced because it is now getting reused in the trial section, which is voiced.
When you're in that suit, not only can you not see your feet, but you can't even bend at the waist. Am I right about that?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
It seems like it'd be awfully hard to push that dolly if you couldn't bend over.
Well, what's to stop you from simply pushing the dolly with your feet?
When you can't even see your feet? You really think someone could kick the dolly all that way?
Yeah, it'd be totally impossible. Not that I can say for sure myself.
On top of that, if you were wearing such a rigid, cumbersome suit,
It would have blood all over it.
it's very unlikely you would have the dexterity to go about wrapping the body in a tarp.
Well, I mean, isn't that just a matter of taking off the suit when you're ready to move the body?
She makes a good point. There's absolutely no chance you could take your costume off because you can't take it off by yourself.
I don't think taking off the suit was an option. If you remember...
I don't know what's up with this thing, but I can't actually get it off. A little help? Why would you make something you can't take off by yourself? I didn't make the stupid freaking thing. There's a clasp on the back that keeps you from getting it off. It looks pretty sturdy. I don't think you could get it off on your own. We really don't have a choice. Let's help him. But you could easily wear the suit without the clasp on, I think.
That's true. It seems impossible to put the suit on or take it off without help.
Then, you really can't take it off by yourself? Hero wasn't just making it up?
Apparently.
Of course I wasn't making it up.
If he could have gotten it off by himself, I don't think he would have let us see him wearing it. Showing up in the suit was basically an invitation for everyone to suspect it.
I wonder if the plan here was to hope that maybe he would have fallen into the pool and drowned. Would that be murder if you put someone in the suit and left them around the pool drugged up and just kind of hope that they tripped and fell in there? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, that's right.
So, it's really, really true that Robo Justice couldn't have moved the dolly?
Yeah, Hina is really taking her time to be convinced.
To be clear, whoever did move the body, it couldn't have been Hero in the robot suit, correct?
And I'd forgotten how strange Sakura's voice sounds. Yeah. Most of these characters, if they were to show up in the sequel Danganronpa games, would be perfectly fine with their voice actors in their appearance. But I feel like Sakura in particular needs a whole rethink, because it's one thing to be muscular in the Ultimate Warrior, it's another to be depicted as in like 80s anime cliche muscly character.
No, wait. Just a second, if you please. Have you forgotten about the picture that I took?
Okay.
You all got a good look at it, did you not?
Yeah, and
The
you can
image
see
of
there are extra
Ifumi
arm
being
pieces.
dragged away by Robo
Upper arm
Justice?
and upper legs. So we have a picture of what looks like Robo Justice carrying away Hifumi, but maybe just maybe it's Hifumi carrying Robo Justice on his back.
If whoever was in that suit is not the culprit, how do you explain that?
Of course, I've already seen this, so I know that's what they're about to say.
Besides, do you remember what the now deceased Hifumi said?
How did you get hurt? That guy hit me. What guy? Robo Justice, or that's what I've decided to call him just now.
So long as those facts exist, the proper conclusion is beyond question.
So the reason they call Robo Justice is because Hifumi made up that name. But then if we were to go back and look at the truth bullets, the picture here, it says Robo Justice. So we pretty much know at this point that Hifumi made Robo Justice, and it definitely feels like Hifumi would have been the person to make Robo Justice.
The individual inside the suit and the culprit are one and the same. It was Hiro, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's gotta be right.
We still gotta figure out who it is that did the killing. Who is the black end if it isn't Hiro?
Hold on a second.
It's still far too early to reach that conclusion.
Kyoko really can't talk too much in this one because she was absent most of the time.
There's no hurry
Unless
to decide who
she
did
was the
it.
killer.
Before we rush to a verdict, shouldn't we explore every single possibility? Instead of seizing on one viewpoint, the truth is uncovered by analyzing things from every angle.
Is that how the things work?
Perhaps, but where do we go from here?
Let's review this series of unfortunate events from the beginning.
There's a book
Maybe
series
we'll
called
uncover
Series of
something new.
Unfortunate Events that Netflix made a series off. It was pretty good. Whereas there was a Fox movie that tried to do the first couple books and did a pretty bad job of it. Let's review.
What a pain in the ass!
I don't disagree, but our lives are on the line. If this is what it takes, we have to do it.
Even Sakura doesn't want to go
Plus,
through the work.
Maybe we'll get to find out where the heck Kyoko was when everything went down.
All right then, let's take another look back at what happened. I suppose we could start with this morning.
So we have to do another recap.
4 of us gathered together in the dining hall. Makoto, Hina, Kyoko, and myself. We waited there for quite a while, but nobody else showed up, so we went to look for everyone. That was around 8 a.m.
And as soon as we split up, Kyoko went missing.
Soon after that, Hina found Celeste in the rec room and quickly came to get Makoto and me.
It seems I was unconscious for about an hour after I was attacked by my mystery assailant.
So yeah, Celeste was knocked unconscious also. Although by being hit in the head, I guess?
I know it was an hour because I remember being attacked a little after 7.
Or she was hit in the arm and passed out, one or the other.
That was when we saw Celeste's picture and discovered that her assailant had been wearing a strange costume. As it turns out, it was Robo Justice. It also soon became clear that this same Robo Justice had abducted Hifumi.
And then we chased after Hifumi for quite a while.
We were soon joined in our search by Byakuya and Toko.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn
and
this
then
back to
went
auto
on fight
mode.
Hifumi in the library.
This is going to take so freaking
He was
long.
injured, so we took him to the nurse's office and resumed our search for the suspect.
Basically, the game should not have let us
Not long
recap
after leaving the
earlier
nurse's office,
if they knew we were going to do this again. ... What's wrong? I saw a shadow. Something's moving around at the top of the stairs.
When Celeste told us that, we decided to split up and search the second floor.
And then
And
she
soon
yelled
after that,
for us to go to the
I
third
saw
floor,
someone moving around on the 3rd floor, and I yelled out to everyone as
which
soon as
she
I
was
did.
supposed to be on the 2nd floor. Nobody's questioning that. Celeste, what's wrong? That was rather an intense scream for someone like you. I saw him, the strange costume man. He ran off as soon as I screamed. I was blocking the stairs, so he headed down into the hard hallway and disappeared.
And then...
Ah. Huh? What was that? That came from the downstairs. It must have been Hifumi in the nurse's office. This is bad. Come on, we have to get back. So now we're back down to the first floor.
At that point, we decided to divide up into 2 groups. Celeste, Hina, and I went back to the
This
nurse's
really goes to
office.
show how the whole game should have gotten the
While
budget
Sakura,
to
Byakuya,
be
and
fully on it,
Toko chased after the
voice
suspect.
acted. And had they dropped the
When we got back to the
3D
nurse's
imagery, they
office,
probably
we
would have
found
had that
Hifumi
budget.
Dead. And that's when we heard the body discovery announcement.
Now the thing there
I left Celeste and Hina there and headed back to the 3rd floor
that
to let the others know what had happened.
the thing there is we have a body discovery announcement for Hifumi when he wasn't dead, and then Taka was apparently found around the same time that they found Hifumi when he wasn't dead. So that must have been an announcement for Taka's body being discovered, which then implies when they found the bodies once they'd been moved, the second body discovery announcement was for Hifumi when he wasn't dead either, and Hifumi managed to wake up for a brief second and then died. So it does show that at the very least Makoto does not have some kind of scanner to have perfect knowledge to know whether somebody's dead or not. So if all the students, say, laid down on the ground, covered themselves in blood, and made it look like they had just like done a murder-suicide, then that might trick Makoto, Monokuma, I mean, into thinking they were all dead, which might help, might not. Let's move on.
Meanwhile, we had just discovered Taka's body in the equipment room.
And see, when this happened and they had discovered Taka's body, there were 3 or more people at that point. It was Sakura, Toko, and Byakuya. And so when Makoto walked in and saw the dead body, that there wouldn't have been another body announcement or triggering of a body announcement at that point,
We
because
must
3
have
had
found
already...
both bodies at almost exactly the same time. Because we heard the same announcement not long after we discovered his body.
And that's when I told you guys about Hifumi.
Yeah.
Then the 3 of us headed for the nurse's office. But right after we left the physics lab, we ran into Celeste, who'd arrived after us. And she told us something very surprising.
Hifumi's body had disappeared. Now, clearly, Hifumi couldn't have been dead at that point. So, I guess the question almost comes down to, are these body notification announcements the notification that someone is dead, or are they the notification that a body, in general, knocked out or dead, has been discovered? At a certain point, if you're going to call it the body discovery announcement, that could happen anytime anybody discovers any body, even if they were awake, alert, and standing in front of you.
We rushed
That's
back
probably
to
a
the nurse's office
localization
and saw that she was right.
Issue where perhaps it would have been better had they used the word corpse discovery announcement, because that indicates something that's dead.
Then we remembered we'd left Toko passed out in the equipment room, so we hurried back again.
This can't be happening. Are we hallucinating all this or something?
But when we got there, we discovered that now Taka's body had also gone missing. Next thing we knew, we were searching the school for 2 missing dead bodies.
And then the repository
And
door
after
was
some
locked.
time,
Celeste informed us that she'd found the bodies, and we all headed to the repository.
he jumped over the part where the repository door was locked before, and could only be locked from the inside.
Which is where we rediscovered the corpses.
And that's when we got the second notification, which would have been Hifumi being dead, but he wasn't really dead even at that point.
I see. The whole thing sounds exceptionally complicated.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff there that does overcomplicate it. And when really all you could say is we ran around in circles, and the important parts were when we actually found the bodies.
It certainly seems to me that these are not a simple series of connected events.
Okay, well, if that's true, then what?
Rather than a single series of events, I think we have to consider each murder a separate situation.
Okay.
And from there, we can uncover the contradictions surrounding all of them.
Okay.
Now then, let's get started, beginning with what happened to Taka.
See, and they just pick a person to start with and a line of dialogue to go down for no real reason, which is helpful, but also kind of contrived. Contradictions hidden in what happened to Taka. In order to uncover the truth, I have to find them, no matter what. And I have like one heart, so I really can't make up a mistake. The Monokuma File 3, and we can't rotate the bullets. We have not been able to rotate or suck in bullets for a while.
So, regarding
I'm just gonna let go through one.
I wonder if he died before Hifumi.
I don't even know
Perhaps it was after?
what.
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
Really?
True
We're
that
gonna
Hifumi
talk
was
about
killed with Justice Hammer 3,
the.
while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
Justice Hammers were numbered, but were they really used in that order?
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before.
What is in Monokuma File 3? There's like nothing in this file.
Or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in.
Oops.
Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3.
I'm losing
Taka's
time.
death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
I don't even know what to do here, and I'm about to lose. Can I even save the game? No.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi. Or perhaps
The
it was
drift
after.
has kind of fixed itself.
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
Well, none of the options are.
So, regarding
I assume this is just a second one.
if he died
I
before
wonder if the
Hifumi.
game is kind of being nice to me and illuminating some possible
We
red
already
herring.
know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
So I'm just gonna fire this and hope I don't lose.
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with
Alright,
Taka's death.
we'll just speed up.
So it's obvious Taka came after.
So,
These little red.
regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died,
or perhaps it was after?
we already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if the game has specifically.
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3.
Oh my goodness,
See? So it's obvious Taka came.
time is running
I
out,
wonder if
and
perhaps it was. We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
I may just have to shoot
What makes you say that?
the wrong thing.
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
Nope, that's wrong. So I just lost. Oh, I guess we failed. Nobody believes me. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Uh-oh. Have we already come to the end of the debate? Well, then the class trial is officially adjourned. Now it's time to reveal who the blackened is. Pew. It would appear the one with the most votes is Makoto. So they just always vote Makoto if you mess up. However, Makoto is not the blackened. Too bad. Looks like the real killer gets to graduate. Congratulations to them. On the other hand, everyone else must now be punished.
Is this really the end for all of us?
What do you say we give it another shot? Interesting.
I refuse to give up yet.
So you do get to continue and refill, but it seems like that you only have the amount of time to even answer there. Well, this is certainly not going great.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after? We already know what order they were killed in.
See, so that's wrong too.
So, regarding Taka, I wonder if, or perhaps it was after. We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death...
So like nothing, there aren't any more things here
So it's obvious Taka came after.
that you can shoot when you have more health. So it didn't reset if it was doing any kind of Justice Hammers were numbered, but is that really used in this order?
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi.
So come around the second time.
We already know what order they were.
So that's what you were supposed to do, and so you have to go through it once. So there is no like S tier where you can get the answer first time, unless you can rewind time at some point.
If anything, that's just another way the killer tried to disguise their actions.
Yeah, once again, that doesn't feel like I succeeded when I full-on game overed.
You're saying the culprit wanted us to think the hammers were used in order, but in reality, Taka was killed before Hifumi?
He had to be, clearly. Unless the Japanese have a different definition for the word killed. I mean, if they had said who was assaulted in what order, that might make more sense. But clearly, Hifumi woke up and talked, then died. So he was killed last. The time of death for Hifumi is the last one, obviously.
Okay then, let's see the proof.
Evidence that proves Taka was killed before Hifumi. Something that relates to what time he must have died. His wristwatch. I kind of wish there were more of these Hangman's Gambits. So, I have to remember, you have to shoot a lot of times. And we're looking for a W. And then we're looking for an A. There's no reason to mess up here. And then we're looking for a C. Now we're looking for an H. They helped us out a bit here. Dude, that was a fairly long spell. Yeah, I wish there was more of those, because those are the easiest ones by far.
Taka's wristwatch. See? Look. It broke with the hands pointing just past 6 o'clock.
It must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer. Because as of last night...
Hey you, how long were you going to keep us waiting? Taka's irritated voice pierced the air as he stared poignantly at his wristwatch. It's almost 10 o'clock, you know. That bedtime for all little boys and girls.
So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night, then he must have been attacked.
So much of this dialogue also has just already been said,
That would be his official time of death.
which I don't see a reason for it to be said again. If it had already been said once.
But if that's true, then he was killed well before Hifumi.
And before Celeste was attacked this morning, which happened around 7.
Ah, so he was killed way, way earlier. I guess that's makes sense.
That's right. Taka was killed before any of the other incidents took place.
Okay.
That simple fact slipped past all of us.
And up till this point.
We made the wrong assumption about the order of events, all because of those justice hammers.
That's exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer and had them increase in size. That way, when we saw how they were used in each incident, we'd easily make that wrong assumption.
Now, if Taka was killed around 6, then everyone's alibis for his murder go out the window.
Okay, so that makes sense, but does that mean nobody has an alibi for Hifumi's murder?
Because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall yet.
That may be true in the case of Taka's murder, but all of our alibis still hold true for Hifumi's death.
That's right. With him, at least, we're all safe.
Ah, huh? What was that? Came from downstairs. It must have been Hifumi. He's in the nurse's office. This is bad. Come on, we have to get back.
When we heard Hifumi screaming, we were all together. Except for Hiro and Kyoko.
Yeah, but he obviously wasn't actually murdered in the nurse's office. He was at best assaulted in the nurse's office. He was murdered. Well, again, this is where, like, was he murdered in the supply closet where they finally found the bodies, or was he murdered in the nurse's office? Depending on what they mean by murdered.
Then we all ran down to the nurse's office, and that's where we found his body.
But he was alive at this point, obviously. Or mostly alive.
That's totally true. We're all in the clear.
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something, then played it later on.
Can the e-handbooks do that?
If that's true, where's the tape?
Like, do they have anything that can record audio at all? They had DVDs
I don't know.
and a DVD player, but no.
Don't just go making stuff up.
Well, at a certain point, everybody is kind of making stuff up, but they have some evidence behind
Anyway,
it.
we all have rock-solid alibis for when we heard Hifumi scream. Since all of us were there together, clearly none of us could have killed him.
And it does not stop there. There was also the moment when we discovered his body had disappeared. When his body vanished from the nurse's office, Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else was in the equipment room, correct?
Yep.
And then there's the disappearance of Taka's body from the equipment room. At that time, we were all gathered together in the nurse's office because of Hifumi going missing.
Oh, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room the whole time.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka's body out of there right then.
Even if she could pull that off, there's no way she could have done the same with Hifumi's body.
Well, I don't know. Genocide Jill might have superhuman strength because she did stab the scissors through the wrists and the walls of her victims.
Because, as we just established, she was passed out in the equipment room when his body disappeared.
Well, assuming she was really passed out.
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway.
In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi or moved either of their bodies. On the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had disappeared, so they most certainly could have done those things.
So what now, Kyoko?
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going around in circles. So instead of who, I propose we start talking about how. In
How?
particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
Good question.
True. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body disappearing. And according to what Celeste said,
One assumes you couldn't have just wrapped Taka in a tarp and carried him over your shoulder as a high school student. Maybe Sakura could do that, but she has an alibi. We could have not been gone for more than a minute or two, though. So then the killer was able to get in and move Hifumi's body in that short amount of time. It seems so. The real question they need to ask is, did Monokuma move some bodies? Because I feel like Monokuma could.
His body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their eyes off of it. But to carry that much weight,
I will say
up to
this
the third
class
in that
trial
short amount of time?
is a lot more enjoyable now that Hifumi is gone, because he's not just interjecting speed bump comments all over the place, and the class trials are now a lot more serious, which really goes to reveal that had this game been mostly serious the whole time, it would have been a better story, in my opinion.
Oh man, yeah. There's no way. It'd be impossible.
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible possible?
What? How?
If the dead body were to move itself.
Alright, so we got a reveal, I guess, huh?
The dead body moved on its own?
No, not another ghost.
He really is being voiced and acted like he's just Scrappy-Doo, not Scrappy-Doo, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think what she's implying is, we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps in reality he was still alive.
Of course he was. How conscious was he is the question.
He was alive?
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on his own?
Well, he could have been concussed and just wandering around in confusion.
But I mean, we found his body. He was dead.
Perhaps he was simply playing dead.
That's a possibility too.
That it isn't possible.
The idea that Hifumi was still alive. Is it really possible? Make your arguments now. The broken wristwatch, I think, is not the right bullet.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
Just scan that.
It is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
We'll just scan things in the first cycle.
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
So, yeah, someone else's discovery, I think, is the contradiction there we're going to use as a bullet. I'm sure the body discovery announcement was only made once, but Hifumi and Taka's body were discovered at almost exactly the same time.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
Okay.
It is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
We're going to have to
You
shoot
heard the
over
body
this.
discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
So we'll contradict there. That was right. With this continue, we can get our hearts back up.
Discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we made a mistake in there somewhere.
Okay.
I'm confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi or Taka.
First of all, if 2 bodies had been found, there really should have been 2 announcements.
Correct.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and rolled them together into one.
They can just ask Monokuma.
What do you say, Monokuma? Any comment?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, so I can't go into too much detail.
Isn't that gonna help?
But what I can say about the body discovery announcement is that It's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
Dead body for the first time. Okay.
That didn't answer our question, man. We're asking if you're a lazy bum.
No, actually, that was plenty.
Huh?
He said it's only broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time, which means even if we find the same body again later, he won't make the announcement again.
Okay.
If that's true, then why was the announcement made again later on?
Huh? Later on?
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement twice.
Second body discovery announcement. The first time it played was when we found each body in the nurse's office in the equipment room. Second time was when Hifumi came back to life, when Toko was found unconscious, when both bodies were rediscovered.
We heard it a second time in the repository when we rediscovered the 2 bodies.
Ding dong, a body has been discovered. After a certain amount of time, which you may use however you like, the class trial will begin.
It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma just told us, doesn't it?
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't have played.
Then in reality, when the 2 dead bodies were rediscovered, one of them was actually being discovered for the first time.
Okay. But even at that point, Hifumi was still alive.
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, he wasn't actually dead yet. Meaning, he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him in the repository.
And that's just part of it. There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive in the nurse's office.
Oh, I know!
You do?
Because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada boom!
Now, of course, we have Genocide Jill to take up Hifumi's role as saying ridiculous
That is
things.
the worst logic I have ever heard. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can prove he was still alive.
Okay then, let's take another look at the events surrounding the discovery of his body. Then it should become clear whether he was really alive or not.
This whole thing is pointless.
So there has to be proof that shows Hifumi I was still alive. I have to find it and show it to everyone. So which one is this going to be? Another bullet time game? Hifumi's glasses, I think, is the right bullet this time.
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office.
Yes.
And then, while me and Celeste were in the bathroom, his body disappeared.
Body disappeared.
Next time we saw his body,
Big old
it
X
was
blocking
in the
you.
repository.
But when you compare his body before being moved and his body after being moved,
So you might as well just have the whole thing go
other
through a
than the
loop.
change in how it was positioned, there was no notable difference.
There's where we want to shoot.
No, it's wrong.
Let's just try and save some time. We may be missing 3 or 4 lines of dialogue here and there.
There was one
But
clear difference between
this
Hifumi
game
in
is
the
so
nurse's
long,
office and the repository.
Trying to 100% all the dialogue is kind of crazy.
His glasses. That fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the beginning.
Perhaps you'd like to fill the rest of us in?
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, his glasses were covered with blood.
Yep.
But when we found him again later in the repository, they were spotless.
Also, there was a glasses cleaner in the trash can of the
And
nurse's office.
I found the item he used to wipe them clean in the nurse's office trash can.
Evidence I found in the trash can was the glasses cleaning cloth.
I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot. One look at the bloodstain on the cloth should make things clear. This piece of cloth was used to wipe Hifumi's glasses clean. And the mascot on the cloth is the same one that's on the digital camera, right?
Yep.
And whose digital camera was it? Hifumi's, of course.
The character was Princess Piggles from Demon Angel Pretty Pudgy Princess, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if she needed to throw in that sentence.
I highly doubt anyone but Hifumi would have brought something like this to school.
I see your point. And the only people here who wear glasses are...
Byakuya and
I
Hifumi.
wouldn't be caught dead using a tacky piece of garbage like that.
A few tissues is all I need to keep my glasses clean.
And Toko, just like Jill, has
And there's
glasses.
no question. It belonged to Hifumi.
So what you're saying is, what exactly?
Yeah, Yasuhiro here is still such an idiot. He's about to get convicted, and he doesn't even have anything to say because he was knocked out for most of the investigation anyways.
What I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses was wiped away using his own glasses cleaning cloth.
Even if that is true, it does not mean he wiped the blood off himself.
But who would benefit from a clean pair of glasses other than the glasses owner?
Good point.
That's a good point.
Then it must have been him, right?
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive in the nurse's office. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean so he can see.
Maybe he was attacked and then he faked his death and then tried to escape and then got attacked
Then
again.
he stands up and walks out on his own 2 feet.
But why not scream for help?
And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse becomes possible, wouldn't you say?
But then, if he was just pretending to be dead, what was with all that blood? Was it paint or something?
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergencies.
Which that doesn't make any sense at all. Why would the nurse's office be equipped for anything at all to save anybody? Why not have people die of infections and small injuries?
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out, so he just dumped it everywhere!
But the blood packs themselves would have to then be thrown away. So were they under the trash even deeper than the cleaning cloth? Or did he pour half the blood out of a blood bag and then put the rest of the blood bag back in the refrigerator?
But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done! God, what an idiot!
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is easily explained. It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
Well, it seems like it was Hifumi.
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
That also explains how the door to the repository got locked.
Does it?
The door was locked?
Yeah, we hadn't even mentioned that.
Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository.
And they moved so fast that nobody else in the group could have beaten them
But
there.
when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside. Which means when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka's body there.
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository.
So, is the idea here that Hifumi killed Taka, then faked his own death, and then he was hoping that people would vote for the wrong person and he'd graduate? That might work.
So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
But that means he took part in the murders.
I just can't believe it.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
There's more?
More evidence. Interesting.
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
the piece of paper. It's the only thing we took off of his body. I'm talking about what Hifumi stole from Taka. There's no point in identifying what Taka had on him. Try and think about it one more time. So I just messed up that too, man. So it must have been the note then.
I got it. You're talking about the note Hifumi had.
So
hidden
clearly
away,
some of
aren't
these
you?
items are there just to be red herrings.
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
And again, these class trials just go too long.
What? In his pants?
Yes, his pants.
The way Sakura said that was weird.
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
I found a hole maybe we can use to escape. Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the equipment room at 6 a.m.
That's the note I was telling you about. The one that told me where to go.
No, it isn't.
Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
Okay.
See, then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hiro.
Hmm.
And that person could only have been...
Taka,
I got it!
not Hifumi's pants.
That's right! Taka! The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
And what's funny here is the order of the timeline is that they knocked out Hiro around 1 a.m. and then took 5 hours break or did something for 5 hours and then murdered Taka at 6 a.m.
Hello? Over here! Objection! Objection!
Yeah. Reference to the Phoenix Wright series.
I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right? So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy!
TikTok and Huffy.
Just to be clear, TikTok is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi, right? Yes! Why must you ruin it every time?
Man, Genocide Jack is seriously scary, but still, I can't let her get to me. So are they really gonna have Genocide Joe talk? We've got 3 different bullets now. I hope this never gets to more.
You had the note, right? Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said.
I assume,
What time
in
did
this
it say to
case,
me?
6 a.m., I believe.
in this case,
Doesn't matter. The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
seriously? Time on the notes at 6 a.m. What happened at 6 a.m.? I need to clear this up. So this is a broken wristwatch, but you have to... these are like programmed to get in your way.
But remember what the note said.
And the spinning is just ridiculous.
What time did it say to me?
6
Let's
a.m.
skip forward a little bit.
Doesn't matter. The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
So either you get the edge and shoot it, or you get the spinning. And it doesn't seem like
No,
it's going to be
absolutely is a
absolutely possible to do all of that without going into focus mode, which maybe I do need to go into focus mode.
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using his wristwatch. But there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
It was just where Taka was killed. I see.
So,
Man,
Taka
this is
was
so
murdered at
slow.
both the time and place, written in the note.
So slow.
I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Maybe some of these cases should be split up into smaller cases where, like, you take a break after you determine just the time and death of Taka, and then they come back after some other gameplay and some other investigation to determine who killed Hifumi.
Well, when you put it like that.
And Genocide's Jill's tongue still is ridiculously just odd addition. Like some of these stationary images, it kind of makes sense, but a lot of them it
Someone
doesn't.
used that note to trick Taka, just the same as me. The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster, telling people they found a way out.
But if they gave the note to Taka, what was Hifumi doing with it? Stuffed down his pants, no less!
Most likely, Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
Huh? He stole it?
So yeah, that would be the assumption.
Here's your proof. Go ahead, show us.
Well, now we use the torn piece of paper.
I got it! When I searched Taka's
Every
body,
time he says I
I saw
got
that
it,
his life was
clearly
spent
that's supposed to
stripping
be
a
a
small scrap of paper.
catchphrase, but you run the danger here of using it too much.
You're right about this. The sheet of paper this piece came from is... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note.
I'm a little surprised they didn't just make that assumption. There's several assumptions here you could just make and
Yup.
you would still be
They're from the
right
Same piece of paper.
without discussing it.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small
This
piece
is
of
one
that
thing
note.
that critics of bad anime often bring up as a cliche is the over-explaining of everything and the over-dialogue talking things out. It doesn't actually even happen that often, particularly in modern anime. It may have happened a lot in 80s anime, 70s anime, but they have since moved almost all dialogue in most animes out of that realm and into more action. And now, if anything, you could argue that a lot of anime has too much action with not enough talking. But also, of course, since most anime is based off manga and light novels, it's no surprise that there'd be a decent amount of talking. There's probably too much talking in Western comic books also, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the Western comic book movies have more talking than you really would realize.
There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. What's getting me is that there was a mallet that was washed off, but I'm trying to figure out where the water would have been to wash off a mallet, considering how the first chapter made such a big deal of there being limited places where you could find water. If anything, there should be more water fountains on the third floor to eliminate that as an issue.
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely dead.
No, obviously not.
The second body discovery announcement proves that.
Unless they're making the argument you can be dead and then come back to life and then be dead again.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
Whoever did is the mastermind. the true killer.
Yep.
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
Yep.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
So who doesn't have an alibi for that
During
part?
that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body.
Yeah. Pretty much all of these murder cases are completely made more complicated by the fact that they split up. If it was simply a rule that we never go in groups of less than 3, which Monokuma even set that rule up specifically to accommodate the idea of creating a rule like that, then nobody would ever be missing an alibi at all.
In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together. Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus.
Just like Jill just attacking Hina for no reason.
What are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what might that be?
Celeste's been quiet for a while.
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file,
Like, he didn't even see the bodies.
the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right?
Yes. Was
So
there
if Hifumi
2
was
in the
killed
repository?
The culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it.
No, 2 was in the rec room.
But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
Byakuya, once again, seems to know the answers already.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
He's right, though. I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments. But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue. So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Then,
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
Weapon that was actually used to kill Hifumi. The whole picture surrounding this case won't become clear until we figure that out. Somehow, we have to find the truth. There's too many of these. Spotless hammer is our only bullet, and that does make sense.
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Interesting. We can't
whatever it
suck
was,
in.
there's one thing we have to figure out.
You can't suck in
How
the
was
white
culprit
text.
able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Witness.
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance!
Nope, that was wrong. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I want to stab you seriously, the adorable, serious face off. So, yeah, it's just not even worth it to even try. Like, and there isn't even any extra time happening in this one.
There's one thing we have to figure out.
So there's nothing to really do.
Able to move around so freely
And if
with
you
the
miss a
weapon.
shot, you lose
How did
5
nobody
seconds.
witness them carrying it?
So you're just
Sounds like a Justice Hammer
supposed to be paying attention, I guess.
Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info.
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers.
Nope, it was the spotless hammer. You can pretty much assume that the last square on the left is
The
never
murder weapon wasn't
the
a
thing you have to
Justice
click
Hammer at
on.
all. No, it was something completely different.
But seriously? A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean.
But how do you scrub it clean? What do you have? A cloth? Water? See, had they put like a flowing water fountain in the hallway in front of the art room, that would almost make sense. Or had they had a trash can where the liquid that looked kind of like acetone on the table could have been used to clean it, that would have made sense. But there needs to be a drain or a trash can somewhere, because you can't just pour cleaner over a hammer and then it's clean.
And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder.
Yeah, how was it scrubbed
If the
clean?
hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off.
Like,
I'd
look in
also
this
like to
room.
point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones.
Unless there was a drain or a trash can in this room, the assumption is that they cleaned it off somewhere
And
else.
even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
There's an interesting argument here too as to why are none of the other rooms dusty but the library is dusty. Like, everything else seems to have been cleaned, but the library hadn't been touched for some reason. Weird.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used the hammer to kill him.
And whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him.
So, if Hifumi killed Taka and then the true killer killed Hifumi, are we trying to accuse Hifumi or are we trying to accuse the true killer?
Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
We did talk about how there wouldn't be any reason for anyone to work together. At least that's what we thought at first, but is there a reason? What's our argument this time? Spotless hammer is again our bullet, but I think we're not going to use that.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only
Again,
the one
no
who
red
actually carried out
text.
the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Interesting. So two murders might be. Can we really say there's no chance two people work together on this?
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even
Is
if
it
more
two
than
murders?
one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate.
It's so distracting to
and
have to
survive.
try and get more
Assuming
time.
The rule holds true. It is simply impossible.
Let's try this.
No,
I guess that's right.
Since there were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
Could it be a case where Hifumi was going, where Hifumi was going to kill Taka, and then someone else was going to kill Hiro, and then they would do a strangers on the train type swap between of murders, and thus be neither one would be convicted for the correct murder. Or perhaps they're gambling that if each one of them killed one person, neither one of them would be considered the true murderer.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Okay.
Risk versus reward benefit?
I feel like this is extra vocabulary word.
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in the scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
See, and that whole paragraph feels like something that was added to make the game educational, which once again makes the game feel like it's targeted to edgy 14-year-olds,
You're
which is
saying
weird.
two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The
Hurry up and
mastermind
get to the
picked their
end.
target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice.
Well, was there a no accomplices rule?
Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
The effort made to convince us that the two murders were the same, that was the main characteristic this time. Kyoko must have noticed that fact from the very beginning, which is why she said not to look at the series as a not to look at this as a series of connected events, but entirely separate incidences. I am getting worse at reading as we go. Kyoko's really is amazing, although when you think about it, she's almost too amazing. Like, it's almost unnatural how good she is at
I
this.
understand how an accomplice could be involved, but then who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
Yeah, and this is the part where it's just ridiculous because we basically have no evidence to figure out who the true killer is.
Problem numero uno right now.
True killer manipulated Hifumi to carry out a number of actions and in the end murdered him. In the debates up until now, the way the case has unfolded, when you consider all that, there's only one person who seems to fit it. Alright, well, I don't have any real argument for this, but since I've already seen someone play it, I'm gonna say it's Celeste. I mean, it kind of feels like you could basically pick anybody, and they might say yes. It would make sense that it could be Byakuya. It would make sense that it could be anybody at all. Like, having cunning being the ultimate gambler is like the only thing that points towards Celeste at all. I really would like to hear the explanation as to why he thinks it's Celeste.
It was Celeste.
Like, this might be a branching path.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I?
Like, I feel like it could easily have been somebody else.
I really do hate this kind of joke.
Now, there is a possibility here that I've forgotten what I saw watching Game Grumps play this, and this actually isn't Celeste. That could be the case.
Joke? I wonder.
Like, Celeste has been the only character that was also attacked and played a big role as far as yelling and having us run around.
So what you are saying then is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi.
Well, she also did order Hifumi to make her tea, and he followed her orders immediately without question.
The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit from brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot!
So now she's broken her fake voice.
Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
What was the certain behavior? What is it? Encountering a suspicious individual. The screaming. Well, let's go to screaming. Well, it's true, both of them did a lot of screaming, but I don't think that's it. Looks like I just embarrassed myself in front of everyone. He didn't even say anything out loud that time. I guess encountering this suspicious individual.
The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush. The adults are talking now.
Yeah, I guess such a jerk.
Sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
Sounds like it.
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that...
Yeah, I hope they don't go over that again. I saw a shadow, something moving at the top of the stairs.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
Celeste, what's wrong? That was a rather intense scream for someone like you. I saw him, the strange costumed man. He ran off as soon as I screamed. I was blocking the stairs, so he headed down into the hallway and disappeared.
Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
So at this point, Hifumi screamed, huh? What was that? It came from downstairs. It must have been Hifumi. He's in the nurse's office. This is bad. Come on, we have to go back.
It was to get us to divide into two groups, so that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
Was she? I get. Let's flash back. Then why don't we split into two groups? I'll lead the hunting party. That seems much more interesting. Very well. Then Makoto and Hina, you come with me to the nurse's office. I'll leave the capture of the suspicious individual to Toko, Byakuya, and Sakura.
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected.
Celeste is not saying anything.
That piercing cry of yours early on.
That wasn't voiced before.
That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the third floor. Everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead,
Celeste, I certainly was not expecting this. I did not imagine that Hifumi would be murdered.
Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered.
Okay.
You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
Okay, that's feels a little weak.
I don't believe it. Everything, the whole thing was one big act.
Tina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kind of sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait, then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
So is there any way possible that had I claimed it was someone else, would they have been putting the blame on someone else? I think there are some characters certainly you can put the blame on, but if you were to say claim it was Makoto or Sakura or something like that, there's basically no evidence there.
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
What was the fatal mistake?
Did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What was that?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
They must really be enjoying the sight of us standing around frightened and confused. We're all gonna die here. We're gonna die just like those guys died. So at this point, had she discovered Taka's body was missing?
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room.
She said guys, when she should have just said Hifumi.
Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right? ...
Byakuya said that Celeste's comment doesn't make any sense. But what is he alluding to? Yeah, sometimes the game helps you a lot, and sometimes the game doesn't help you much at all.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this.
So it's just gonna be her repeating.
The sight of us standing around.
I feel like I'm just gonna have to suck in something.
They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here.
There's some very...
We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it, what was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Okay, so am I supposed to counter those guys, or what's counter? When she said that, she should have only known about Hifumi's death. With that in mind, what's so strange about what she said?
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this.
See, I'm not sure which bullet to...
The sight of us standing around.
So that's not it.
Confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died.
So let's suck in that, and let's see if it's supposed to be used.
All it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it, what was so strange about Celeste?
So we'll fire that. And we were wrong.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us standing. They must be positively. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died.
And see, doing that is wrong too. So, just lowering my score.
All said, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die. We are going to die, just like those guys. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
So it's gotta be you sucking so strange.
They must really be enjoying the sight of us.
If it's
standing
us or
around
all, that's
frightened and
gonna really suck.
Positively elate. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like.
Yeah, this is too linear thinking. It just doesn't have enough options to potentially just let you move forward.
Just like those guys died.
If you make something that is similarly right, or if you do something that feels right to the player but wasn't thought of by the creator of the game. Which honestly, this is really just making a really good argument for a more linear standard visual novel experience, instead of having us play mini games and lose points and feel like idiots for messing up on gameplay mechanics that probably aren't the forte of a good percentage of people who play visual novels. I imagine there is a good amount of people who play visual novels that don't play any other kinds of games, and they just don't have that kind of reaction time or game mechanic experience.
When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead. ...
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
I hadn't even thought of that part. So.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations?
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So let's put the suit on, and then she used the camera's timer to...
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into
The
that
camera
suit.
doesn't have a timer either.
Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you
Man, they are
offered up.
really just taking forever to get to the end. After we accused Celeste, there should have been maybe one challenge and one conversation at that point. Not this much, though.
No, there is no other explanation.
Other explanation. If it wasn't a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away, the only possibility, they've been drinking, they're dancing, Hifumi is dragging the suspect away.
It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around.
Okay. What's weird,
This
though,
strange costume might only exist to lead us
is-
astray even farther.
why did they think to have this meetup with Hiro on the second floor in the rec room? I mean, the third floor in the rec room, because after that point, you then have to basically knock him out, drag him down the stairs to the second floor to put him in the pool locker room. There's even a locker in the rec room, so unless they had moved him into that locker and then switched lockers, or there's some kind of shortcut down to the pool from that locker room. It's kind of a bad plan. It's a pretty bad plan, actually. They should have put Hifumi. They should have knocked him out and put him in the outfit, locked him into the Robo Justice costume on the second floor.
If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
No duh.
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Maybe they used the dolly to move Hiro also, but that still doesn't get him down the
Then
stairs.
shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
Celeste, again, being rude. Celeste thinks she can prove there's no way Hifumi was dragging the suspect away. But is that really possible? I feel like I might get another rhythm game. I hope not. So we're now at Robo Justice costume, Robo Justice blueprints, and Yashihiro's message.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous.
What
As
are
you
we
can
even
see
trying to
in the
do?
picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright.
Okay, that would be the
person
costume.
Inside the suit was unconscious.
Okay.
There's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Yes, he could with the costume. Well, I accidentally hit the right bump, so
No.
the achievement for
Even
not
if the
using
person
the
inside
speed
suit
up
were unconscious,
ability
they could
is
still
now
stand up like that.
been skipped for this trial.
Because that Robo Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
You totally can't bend at the waist. Seems pretty obvious. Seems like a pretty obvious oversight.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Okay. I really question where they got the free time to make the Justice Hammers in the Robo suit, though. Seems like you would need at least a week to get that made. And it doesn't feel like we've really had a week to work on that.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
Remember, Celeste is the ultimate gambler. ... We might as well go in auto mode at this point.
What do you mean, checkmate? Celeste?
Once again, she breaks her fake voice.
You want to cram me into your little guilty box? Well, there's one little problem.
Yeah. And see, even with Celeste, who is a character that we had a lot of dialogue with, there were so many characters in the game to start with that we really haven't had enough time to really grow to know Celeste's personality completely, particularly if she's going to have the fake personality and the real personality. She is clearly similar to Sayaka in the fact that she has a fake personality and a real personality too. So it would have been maybe nicer if Sayaka was the one that was the one being accused right now, and she'd been in the story a little bit longer.
Have you Already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
Hey Hifumi, who was it? Who attacked you? Who tried to kill you? Who killed me? That's right, I remember their name. Yasuhiro.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro. In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Right, but my name isn't really Yasuhiro. It's actually Taro.
Interesting. So, I still never figured out if they're flipping the first names around, but I guess they might be, they might not be.
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Celeste is losing it.
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us.
Let's see, how did he used to talk?
How did he refer to each of us?
He said for serious a lot, he gave everyone nicknames. He said people's last names. Last names?
I got it! That's right, our last names. He called us all by our last names.
Yeah, and this is a very Japanese thing that wouldn't have ever really clicked to a Western player to take note if Hifumi was referring to people by their last names. Although he did, come to think of it, do that, didn't he?
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name. Indecent?
Indecent? Byaka just telling him not to talk.
Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No, there's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal. But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Are you sure about that?
No. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to. And that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
Yeah, and you would have had to remember this at the very beginning when they were first introduced in Chapter 1.
What
Or just
did you just say?
kept in mind that her name has always been labeled as Celeste.
To think you take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit. Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather. Yasuhiro is a loser's name. Do I look like a loser to you?
I wonder if Yasuhiro is a very common name in Japanese. This is a point where the localization may have been better off localizing that name to something like Smith, or I don't know what the best way, like Chin, like that'd be a little stereotypical if the last name was like Chin or something very common sounding. Yeah, I don't even know what a good name to localize to the West would be, while still implying that it was an Asian person.
Well, do I?
Here we have another custom animation of her.
What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Yeah, you get these little custom animations, and somebody spent some time on this. Was it worth the budget, though?
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
Yeah, they never put Ludenberg as her last name or Celestia as the name. Celestia still won't give up, so then I have to do something to make her accept it. So what are we gonna do? The e-handbook obviously says your name when you first turn it on. Otherwise, Spotless Hammer or Yasuhiro's
The
message.
was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
So we supposed to hit that?
Here who might have that last name.
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
Hit the wrong button?
How many times do I have to tell you? My name is Celestia
I have like 4 minutes left, and
How
the
long do you
text is
plan to
upside
go on
down.
Pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me,
There's the counter.
it's wrong.
The game is just making it more and more difficult
That's
intentionally.
The handbook.
What?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before.
This handbook is absolutely vital to a healthy school life, so don't lose it. When you start it up, it will display your name. Always make sure you have the right one. Now, this is not your everyday notebook. It has many more uses than that. See, the problem here is
So all we have
if we
do
get
is
to
check
chapter
our
4 or
handbook,
5
and
or
that'll clear up
6,
everything.
and they're referring back to things that happened in chapter 1, you're talking potentially 100 hours ago that you would have had to remember things.
That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Celeste,
Either she shows her name or they should just vote her guilty
can you
anyways.
Please just tell us what really happened. Please, just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then. Let me settle it. Let me go over the case again, from the beginning, and shed light on all your crimes.
We are taking extra
And that'll
long
bring
at this
everything to
point,
an end.
but I want to get to the end of this trial. Closing artifacts. So okay, here we have, I guess this is what Hifumi's things. We have like 24 minutes too, so in this case, how did the killer recruit the accomplice? Was it seduction? Probably not. I don't have a clue as to what this is supposed to even represent. Wow, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Well, let's just go here. What time did the killer call the victim to the rec room? This would be just after 6, right? No, that isn't right. Just after 1. And what's this one? Who was it that the killer summoned first? It would have been Hifumi. They knocked him out and stuffed him into the Robo Justice suit to falsify evidence. They used a certain item to do it. They used the camera. What time was Taka supposed to head to the equipment room? After 6. And Hifumi smashed him, and neither one of those are hidden. Justice Hammer was, what number was it to kill Hifumi? Seriously? I'm supposed to remember which number it was? It must have been 4. Library, in the library, your friend used something to fake existence of shadowy criminal. Let's see, what would that have been? This is the dolly. So it must have been they used Hifumi's screams. Look how he's just like dancing around and spinning with the blood packs. Which Justice Hammer was in the office when he was pretending to be dead. That has to be 3. There. See, they even have Celeste now being depicted as being grayed out. Hifumi used something to move Taka's body. The dolly. Weapon the killer used to murder Hifumi. What was it? It was the clean hammer. Alright, so we're now down to like 21 minutes. And we have one not filled in for the beginning of it. How did the killer recruit the accomplice? Was it subduction? We don't know that, really. But we do see potato chips. Was there some evidence we could have found otherwise? Otherwise, we have a backpack, Justice Hammer 2. We have the bloody poster. Would it have been Alter Ego, perhaps? But if it was Alter Ego, so we have to kind of just assume that this is right, and we'll try. And if we're wrong, we're gonna get punished.
Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder, and that person was.
No, it didn't lay out my reasoning. I need. So I got one damage here. So we are gonna pretty much fail if we're not careful. So I was supposed to choose Hifumi as the accomplice. Alright. If that was the case, then what is this one? Use something to fake the evidence of a shadow criminal. If it wasn't Hifumi, then what the world could it possibly have been? A Justice Hammer 2 in the library? I guess that must be it. Now we're down to 19 minutes. But it doesn't even matter. If I make enough mistakes here, it is game over.
The killer is you! Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder. And that person was.
So it wasn't how did they persuade them, it was who was persuaded.
Hifumi. With an accomplice, the killer was able to execute a number of otherwise impossible schemes.
Tick tock tick.
First, they convinced someone to meet them in the rec room last night at 1 in the morning.
Yeah, and I guess if Hero hadn't shown up, their whole plan would have been knocked out of whack.
That someone they met with was Hero.
And they're depicting it as Hifumi who knocked him out.
The murderous duo intended to pass Hero off as the prime suspect. So when they met up with him, they drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him into the Robo-Justice suit.
I guess maybe Celeste has been in the warehouse enough to get the items needed to make Robo Justice.
While the killer used a digital camera to take pictures of the assault. They did all this just to create evidence that would put the suspicion on Hiro. When they were done with him, they shoved him, still unconscious, into the pool room locker. And then finally, at 6 a.m., they moved into the murder phase of their plan. They called Taka to the equipment room.
I guess I was right about Justice Hammer 4.
Hifumi killed him, making it the scene of the first murder.
And see, that was the only murder weapon
Hammer 4, which was left there in
that
the equipment room.
needed to be big enough to actually kill
The
anyone.
reason hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion about the order of the crimes. So, next they falsified 2 more assault incidents. For these attacks, the killers pretended to be the victims to solidify Robo Justice as the suspect. The first fake incident was the attack in the rec room. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1 and the Robo Justice pictures they'd taken.
Was that Justice Hammer 1?
They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack story. The second fake incident was the attack in the library.
Okay. That was where I first found Hifumi.
This time, they planted Justice Hammer 2.
Oh, so I
and
was
then
right.
injured
Good.
Hifumi to sell us that story. With these 2 incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our minds. That the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as they did. We fell right into their trap and started looking for the suspect based on that. But
Let's see.
while we
Very
did that,
long story.
we left Hifumi alone in the nurse's office. This was exactly what Hifumi was hoping for. He took a blood packet from the refrigerator and Justice Hammer 3 and turned the room into a crime scene in which he himself had apparently been brutally murdered.
Still very
He
weird
let
that
out a scream to draw us back.
they
And
use
when
this
we
bright
returned,
pink
that's
color
what
for
we found.
blood.
Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching found Taka's body at the same time.
Now, what's weird here, the way this is drawn, is they're drawing the characters both looking forward and backward for kind of no good reason. That seems like that's a waste of animation.
So when we heard the body discovery announcement, we naturally assumed it was for Hifumi. We left the nurse's office, and Hifumi once again took advantage of the situation. He simply got up and made his escape. When we learned his body had disappeared, we all rushed back to the nurse's office. And once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he snuck into the equipment room.
I guess the question, though, was who were they planning on
He wrapped
killing
Taka's body in a tarp and used the
this
dolly to
as
move
the
it all
second
way down to
killer?
the repository.
Who was going to be the second victim? I don't think Hifumi thought this whole plan out. What's interesting here is they're also depicting Hifumi as being completely clean of blood, where I would have thought he would have just cleaned his glasses and nothing else.
That explains how each of the bodies disappeared. But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind for their final act.
He's got a very cat-like appearance.
Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one person who could betray them. And they did it using an ordinary, everyday hammer from the repository. That should cover everything that happened in this case. And the villain behind it all is...
Yeah, doesn't not feel like this would have been the point where he should have accused Celeste, not like 20 minutes ago. Boy, that's an animation. Feels like it's a romantic, almost a marriage.
Celeste, sorry, you lose.
Yeah, some of these animations that I don't mention actually look pretty decent. I don't know if they're really worth the effort it may have taken them to animate them, but honestly, I just wish the stories were better. Going down this series, if I were to play Danganronpa 2 and find that the story isn't much better than the first game, I don't know if I would make it to a Danganronpa 3, for instance. But there is also some New Game Plus content that might exist in this, and there could be more reasons after the first playthrough to go through it and try and get some more unlockables.
I lost?
Maybe you are supposed to just kind of struggle through the game the first time, and then it's in replayability that it becomes much better.
When was the last time I was forced to utter such words? They hang heavy around my neck.
Then you admit it? You're the killer?
Listen to you, trying to take charge, as if you're my private instructor. I, Celestia Ludenberg. Actually, no.
So she drops the fake voice.
Taiko Yasuhiro is fine.
So her last name is Yasuhiro, so that they have finally, in the middle of the game, confirmed that the names are first name and then family name. So they did flip it, which does mean that everybody is just referring to everybody by their first name, which is fairly familiar for Japanese language, but okay, whatever.
Taiko?
So, you finally accepted it.
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
So, like, you have a completely different voice.
Interesting.
So how many points did I get? I did probably pretty terrible. For 13 chapters, I should be up to 1300. And yet, they still gave me an A rank for that. It almost feels like you would have to screw up miserably to not get an A rank. Let's see, do we want to end it here and then start the next episode with a horrific murder, or do we want to get all the way through to the end of the chapter? I think I want to get to the end of the chapter. It'll also be interesting to see how many tokens we get for this. 91. That seems like a very off number for a very off score. Clearly, though, we probably at this rate won't get 999 Monokuma tokens, nor will we get all the presents if we're not very, very lucky. We might get all the presents.
Okay, Monokuma. I'm ready to begin. Or, no. I suppose this is the end, isn't it?
So is he going to make him vote?
It is indeed the moment we've all been waiting for. Time to vote. Okay? Okay. If you would, please locate your lever and cast your vote.
Each person votes.
And when the votes are tallied,
The majority
who will become the blackened?
gets turned into the slot machine, which is kind of the wrong presentation
Will you
of
make the right
who
choice
had been
or
voted
the
for.
dreadfully wrong one? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
It'd be funny if everybody voted for Celeste and it turned out it wasn't Celeste after all. After just a basic admission. You'd think at this point this would be where you would get the Monokuma tokens also, and it's not. It's basically a formality at this point, but once again, you're totally correct. The Blackened this time, the true killer who devised the whole stinking scheme was Celeste Ludenberg, or more precisely, Taiko Yashihiro.
Honestly,
I lost. Well, that sucks. I guess trying to work with someone else was a mistake after all. Hifumi's ineptitude was beyond all my calculations.
I knew it.
So you really did approach Hifumi with this plan. But how did you get him to agree? I can't imagine he would happily agree to commit murder. I'm sure she relied on her specialty, lying. My specialty? Don't make me laugh. I didn't have to lie to get him to agree.
So then,
Then did you use, you know? I knew you'd figure it out, Kyoko. You're absolutely right. To get Hifumi to act as my accomplice, I used her. For everyone who's still left, I'll avoid mentioning it by name, but it was the one thing that Hifumi and Taka were both super into. Does she mean? Is she talking about alter ego? So did Celeste steal alter ego?
Say what?
What are you talking about?
just a second.
Don't interrupt, we're in the middle of a very important conversation here. I'm totally out of the loop as usual, how
In
sad.
other words,
Then you're the one who stole it. So I thought Kyoko stole it. Interesting. So was Kyoko just searching for it this whole time while she was missing?
indeed.
That's right.
I see.
And used it to drag Hifumi into the plan you'd come up with. Right again. Last night after we had our meeting about how it disappeared, I paid Hifumi a little visit. We just get this quick glimpse of his room, which is full of just anime memorabilia and figurines. What are you doing here?
Actually,
I was hoping I could talk to you alone. It was about what was stolen. I know who did it. What?
are you okay?
It was
with this?
Taka. He stole it. What?
So
And I have
then,
proof. Would you like to see it? As it turned out, I found a use for the digital camera. I've taken you-know-what to Taka's... I'd taken Taka you-know-what to Taka's room earlier and took pictures of it there. How did he get into Taka's room? Is the question. How did Celeste get into Taka's room? I deleted the picture as soon as I'd shown it to him, of course.
Damnation!
Grr, so it was him. But how did he do it? She was supposed to yell if either of us got close to her. You're correct, which is why Taka forced me to steal it.
Say what?
What?
As for me,
Please forgive me. He threatened me.
Oh.
He did?
as for me,
He came to the room last night unnoticed. Then it's hard for me to even say. So she's gonna get straight up claim that Taka like raped her. This would be a great point for them not to play the little sound effects while they're telling the story. If they're not gonna voice it, they might as well just go silent in such an important scene. He abused me. That's how. So they're not gonna get too dark.
What?
What? And he took pictures. He said if I did not do as he asked, he would show them to everyone. So I had no choice.
Damnation!
That's a crime, an absolute crime. I mean, I knew he'd gone a little crazy, but what's funny here is she's accusing Taka, who was the ultimate moral compass, of abusing her and taking pictures, and that's hard to believe, even if Taka has been acting crazy.
Say what?
I'd never imagined he would go that far. It was amazing how completely he bought it. I can't express how enjoyable that was. I'm about to say something I never said before in my life. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna effing kill him.
most unfortunate.
Wait, please, if you go now, you will be playing right into his hands, huh?
Actually,
Taka is planning to use her to escape. And he has made you his target. Escape, you don't mean? Taka is gonna try and kill you. What?
indeed.
And all so he can keep her to himself. That bastard. Bastard.
Honestly,
Can we allow him to continue with these barbaric acts? Absolutely not. How could I? She.
Swear it!
I
I will save her!
have to save her.
actually,
Then would you like to join with me? It just so happens I've come up with a plan. Huh? I've devised a way to reclaim what he has stolen and escape this dreadful school. Hee hee. With that, it is complete.
Hmm?
Huh? What are you talking about? Oh, nothing. I don't think we're gonna get a full flashback here. They should hurry up. Hifumi agreed without a second thought. The effect that item had on him was remarkable. The power of love, even love as twisted as that, can still drive people mad, it would seem. You disgust me.
I see.
I have another question for you. What was that strange costume Hifumi's creation?
Indeed.
Yeah, it was a real pain in the butt too. All I asked him to do was make something to hide the face and general body size. I had no idea he'd make something like that, but it's my fault for picking him in the first place. So why'd you decide to make me the suspect? Because you're stupid. That's it?
Let's see.
And in that regard, I made the right choice. I'm so glad your stupidity surpassed my every expectation. Life must have been tough on your parents, though. I feel like I could cry. But when you were explaining your plan to Hifumi, how did you explain the part about him playing dead? What she's asking is, what was Hifumi supposed to do after that, assuming you'd actually let him live?
Are you okay with
That's
this?
simple. After he did his part and pretended to be dead once someone showed up, I told him to say he'd been seriously wounded and he was on the verge of death, but he had just barely held on. And he really believed that? Well, of course, that wasn't all there was to it. As I explained to Hifumi, the plan was, while you were all questioning him about what had happened, I was going to murder someone else. At that point, Hifumi would have an alibi so nobody could doubt him. I told him that, and he believed it. All seems very straightforward, stereotypical. I just matched the lie to the level of the opponent. In fact, Hifumi ate it up. He believed the lie wholeheartedly, right up until the moment of his death.
So in the end,
So you'd pay him to kill him all along. But of course, I wish all of this was still voice acted if it was going to be this much dialogue. There would have been no point to my plan if the one who pretended to be dead did not end up dead himself. So how can human life mean so little to you?
Well,
That's a non-issue. I simply did everything in my power to win.
Be mean.
Now you sound like Byakuya.
I wonder about that.
No, he derives his pleasure from the thrill of the hunt. In that aspect, we are nothing alike.
Why?
Then why? Then what made you take things this far?
What the heck?
Was it really just for money?
Hmm.
Are you talking about $10 million Monokuma offers to us? That is a lot of money, it's true. But that's not all there is to it. For the moment our new life began here, my only thought has been escape. But all along you've been saying how we should accept living here.
You little
Obviously,
bitch.
that was a lie. See, this is kind of like a great example of the reactions and the catchphrases just not matching the dialogue well. Yeah,
Hey!
I couldn't take it. I hated it from day one. More than anyone else in here.
Little bitch.
I wanted to get out. Every day was a fresh torture. And do you want to know why?
This is
Huh?
fine.
Because I had a dream. And accepting a life here would meant nothing less than giving up on my dream forever.
Honestly.
And there was no way that I could ever do that. In the underground world of gambling, I risked my life to make a metaphorical killing.
As for me,
And it was all for that dream. And what was that dream of yours?
isn't it wonderful?
To live in a European castle. So basically, Celeste is kind of crazy, living in a fantasy world, and wanted to bring her European princess fantasy true. A castle. And here we can see a whole bunch of what look like vampire butlers, like licking her boots as she is the gothic Lolita vampire queen. And to gather handsome men from all over the world to serve as my butler/bodyguards. I was going to make them dress up like vampires and satisfy my every need. Once I obtained that, I would have created a perfectly aesthetic world of
This
decadence.
is fine.
Living the rest of my life there was my only dream, my only goal. That's what life is all about. Really? Combined with my own winnings, Monokuma's $10 million would have made that dream a reality. I got right to the edge, but
There is nothing to be done.
unfortunately my dreams have been scattered to the wind. Still, I don't have any regrets. I pursued my dream till the very end, so why would I?
Just the worst.
You sound so passionate, but you were really able to kill your own friends for it.
Oh,
Asking me to feel guilty, that's a pointless endeavor. I think nothing of sacrificing others for my own ends. I feel
do
nothing.
you understand?
That's all there is to me. That's what makes me complete. It's terrifying how different our values are. There's simply no room for understanding.
What is this?
That's what we should be saying. And plus, how can you be so calm? Don't you realize you're about to die? Why are you so why aren't you scared? My ability to lie is unrivaled, and I take pride in that. It's not just other people. I can even fool my own emotions. The conscious deceives the unconscious, and that's why you're not scared?
Yes.
That's
indeed.
right. I don't fear death. Kill me however you like. But you know, even if I could be reincarnated, if I had a choice then,
Isn't it wonderful?
I think I would like to come back as Marie Antoinette.
Hey,
You just get executed again. Hee hee, hee hee. Celeste smiled then, and when she did, it looked to me like a poor effort to force it. She claimed she could fool her own feelings, but the statement itself must have been her final lie. And that weak fake smile is what betrayed her.
Chills, chills, kills!
You're all done. Okay, let's get rolling. The black can disturb the peace and must pay the price.
Now
Now
then,
then,
I prepared a very special punishment.
For her, the ultimate gambler, they don't say her actual name.
Let's give it everything we've got. It's punishment time.
Is she not going to tell him where alter ego is? I guess we're going to just have to find him. Find the alter ego again.
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to this.
Okay, so she's giving something to Kyoko.
What?
A locker room, a locker key. This is...
Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? I can't say I ever saw it that way.
And we're back to her regular voice. Which... I kind of wish... This is a silly thing to want, but I kind of wish there would be like voice packs and skins for this game. It'd be weird if it did have that, because that would just be too much budget. But if I could toggle the crazy anime high fashion clothing off and they just look like normal characters, and if I could toggle the ridiculous voice acting off and they sounded like regular people, that would interest me more, I think. Probably not most people, but it would be an interesting second playthrough for sure.
Which is why
Like, you definitely can feel that when you have Celeste just talking. If she didn't have the ridiculous hair and the ridiculous clothing, and she was just wearing a standard school uniform, it would be a different kind of experience.
actually, it's not important.
Hmm.
Well then,
Hmm.
take care, everyone. Perhaps we'll meet again in another life.
Maybe we will. So how's the ultimate gambler going to be killed? And they all get dragged. And I don't know if we really need the 8-bit animations, because they're not really adding anything. So there's our castle getting built up on like a stage, and there's a giant bunny above her. Is that supposed to be Monokuma? The burning of the Versailles witch. And then the execution of Monokuma. So they're gonna burn her like a witch, I guess. It feels all very cardboardy and like a play. And what color is her hair in this animation? Is it the darker black? Seems like there's all kinds of Monokumas in the crowd. It seems like it's burning the play stage also. Yeah, they mostly got her hair color right this time. Well, if anything, it's a little green this time. She's sweating. This whole thing is ridiculous. For sure. We've got like music playing in the background too. She crashes a fire truck into her. Into the stage. But even then, that's still cardboardy. The only thing that looks real is the truck. Honestly, that does feel a lot more into the realm of ridiculous than horrific, where the beating Leon with the baseballs felt like a serious execution that was really horrific. But Mondo's execution was kind of ridiculous, turning him into butter on a motorcycle. It's over. The third execution is over. Celeste's death is over. Celeste killed my friends, so I can't pity her, but I also can't deny that at one point I considered her a friend too. And for him to just come along and... Isn't it just awful? Someone couldn't cut free of their regrets from the outside world, and so more people had to die. You guys are still young. You need to place more value on your lives. He says this every time, I think.
What are you gonna do?
Geez, and here I thought you guys were gonna pass the torch of hope to the next generation.
Let me out of here!
What do I care about hope? I'll throw it in the trash if you just let me out of here.
Too bad.
You're all the embodiment of hope, whether you like it or not. And it's my destiny to knock you down one by one. It's sad, yes it is, but the reality just can't be avoided. Don't talk like you're not responsible. How long are you gonna make us keep going through this? What do you want from us? God, I'm so sick of people asking me that. Give it a rest already. So anyway, Kyoko, did I see you get some kind of key type object from Celeste?
Hey!
So, what's the deal with that? ...
What?
Huh? What's the matter?
So then,
I'll answer your question if you answer mine. What did you do? What did you do to me?
Ooh.
What?
hey,
Answer me. What did you do to my body? So apparently Monokuma has done something to Kyoko or her body. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he has done something weird to people when he knocked them out at the very beginning of the game. Ooh, oh man, oh geez, oh man, oh geez. What do you mean, what did I do? I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. ... What was that just now? The mastermind did something to Kyoko's body? What does that mean? Okay, things are getting kind of awkward. I think it's about time I got out of here.
Well,
Meanwhile, you guys can go on enjoying your high school life. If you get lonely, give me a shout. Not that I'll do anything about it, of course.
see ya later.
Phew, see ya. Monokuma disappeared, leaving us all depressed and in despair. Although it wasn't all despair, there was one small hope. Hey Kyoko, Monokuma already mentioned it, but what's that key that Celeste gave you?
so
Most likely, it's the key to one of the dressing room lockers. Dressing room lockers in the bathhouse or in the locker room. What then that means? Celeste probably hid it in there.
Hey,
Suppose sometimes it's easiest to miss what's right beneath your nose. Well then we better go check.
indeed.
Good idea. We left the courtroom and rushed to the dressing room. Which dressing room is this? Bathhouse dressing room. As we approached the dressing house, Kyoko looked back at us and said,
Hey,
I'm gonna go on alone from here. Everyone else head to the dining hall. I'll check with you later.
What?
Why exactly are you going alone?
so
Do you even have to ask? As she spoke, she quickly glanced at the surveillance camera.
Come on.
That's not what I mean. Why you? There's still risk of a spy, you know. ... Then I'll go too, says Makoto.
What?
You? Please let me go. Dot dot dot. Standing here arguing is just gonna draw more attention to us.
Goodbye.
Do whatever you want. Thank you, Byakuya.
Well,
Then it's up to you now. See, and this would be funny for a guy and a girl both to go to the bathhouse. I'm gonna go to the dining hall, okay? So Makoto and Kyoko are gonna go together, and you can see here how Hina has is blushing because of the implications there that in English localization maybe should have been mentioned a little bit more. Does that mean what I think it means?
Okay.
Good luck, Makoto. Girls are like her are total pushovers when you show a little backbone. I tried to forget what Hina said. Everyone headed to the dining hall, leaving me and Kyoko there alone.
Shall we go?
Well, shall we? Yeah.
So then,
We need to get into that locker. So, she literally just moved it from one locker to the other. Kyoko took the key Celeste had given her and unlocked the locker. And as the locker swung open, we saw Alter Ego back. Good morning. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's safe, thank goodness. I never heard Kyoko sound so relieved. It was like she was speaking from the bottom of her heart. It's kind of nice to have the story continue after the execution at this point instead of having a teaser or extra story at the beginning of the next chapter. But it is also then extending the length of this game, which I could be going really, really long at this point. I paused the recording, so I'm not 100% sure how much time it's been, whether it's been 2 hours or 3 hours. I did just what Celeste asked. I didn't say a word. I stayed quiet the whole time. Oh, and I think I might have opened the last set of files soon. Maybe as early as tomorrow. I'm doing my best, so please just wait a while longer. So if she opened any of the files, she hasn't shown us any of it. Okay, we can now officially say the case is closed. As for the incident is concerned, as far as this incident is concerned, sure, but can we take a second? Since we have this opportunity, I want you to be honest with me. ... Kyoko, please tell me. What are you trying to do all on your own here at the school? Is that what you wanted to... Is that why you wanted to come here with me?
however,
Regardless, that's not something you need to know right now. I don't need to know. That just makes me even more worried. Worried? Like what happened during the investigation this time. You disappeared, and we didn't see you again. Without warning, without explanation. When you do that,
indeed.
it's only natural they think I'm the mastermind spy, right? And you too. No. I believe in you.
What?
You believe in me? Isn't it obvious people believe in their friends, right? That's why I want you to tell me. I want you to believe in me too. Because we're friends. ... I understand.
It's true.
Then maybe I can believe in you. Just a little bit more, then.
That's fine.
Fine, I'll tell you. I'll tell you why I've been disappearing and where I've been going. You see, what I heard from Kyoko then was, well, frankly, it kind of blew my mind. Right after I told Kyoko I believed in her, she told me the story that was, well, almost unbelievable. Let's go ahead and end the game here, in the recording here, and because this does feel like this is going to go a little bit longer until we start chapter 4. And then we'll start up here in the next recording. That's going to be it for this one. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.